everyone, and thanks so much for joining us on this election night. I'm Leslie Adamy.
And I'm Rudy Trevino. We are watching several key races for you, national, state, and especially all things local.
That's right. Local is where we begin things tonight, kicking things off with the biggest race being watched here in the city of Corpus Christi. Of course, that being for City of Corpus Christi mayor. There are 6 candidates running for that title. Of course, the incumbent is Mayor Paulette Guajardo.
She is facing Michael Hunter, Joshua Frederick, Isabel Araiza, John Kalkusik, Anthem Powers.
That's right. So again, 6 people running for the title of Corpus Christi mayor. And we do have our crews live throughout the Coastal Bend viewing area. We're going to start things off with our Bill Churchwell, and he is standing by with the incumbent in this race being Mayor Guajardo. Bill, what can you tell us?
Hey there, we are feeling the energy here at Brewster Street Ice House Southside location, the site of Mayor Guajardo's watch party. We are seeing those supporters arrive in big numbers tonight. It's just after 7 o'clock. You know, earlier, Mayor Guajardo feeling optimistic about everything tonight. She was going around to the different polling locations, rallying for those last-minute votes, and she seemed relatively cool and calm, upbeat, which is her standard personality, hoping to get reelected for a 3rd term to the mayor position she has held since 2020. You might recall, she helped lead the city during the COVID pandemic, starting that SOS, Save Our Seniors program with the fire department, and that was something adopted by Governor Greg Abbott. She was first elected to council as an at-large member back in 2016. Now, again, take a look. This is our setup here. We have the entire back area. You can see, again, her supporters arriving. We have these pretty big balloons. Take a look right over here. If you follow me, you can see we have her balloons right here with her famous slogan, a full-time mayor for a full-time job. And Mayor Guajardo just arriving a few moments ago to Brewster Street, and she was up there taking photos just a little while ago. I think she's somewhere up there. But again, the energy is here for this crowd. And you know what? I want to go talk to some of the supporters over here. How are y'all doing tonight?
We're doing great, thank you.
I tell you what, y'all are out here along with a number of other folks. What is it about Mayor Guajardo that y'all wanted to come out and support her?
Well, we feel like she's done a great job, and we're just behind her, and hopefully she'll get reelected today.
And definitely the streets. The streets need it as well, and she is doing that.
Street
She's been
improvement.
working on them for a long time, and she's a great person. She's a good personality. She's very warm. She's very welcoming, relatable.
And talking about the issues, of course, desal is another important topic. We saw 3 of the 6 mayor candidates say no to a questionnaire we put out there for them about whether or not they supported the Inner Harbor desal. Mayor Guajardo supports that plan. Of course, she says that water is our most important topic in the city right now, of course, along with the streets. So we will see if those issues play a role as those early numbers come out, and we are all waiting for those early numbers to see where this race leads. But of course, she will need at least 50% of the vote, or it could go into a runoff election. But that is the very latest here live. We're going to be talking with Mayor Paulette Guajardo later on, and we'll go ahead and send it back to you.
All right, Bill. Thank you so much. We certainly look forward to getting to check in with you throughout the night and getting to hear also from folks who are out at these watch parties, as you just heard there.
That's right. Here we are just 4 minutes after 7 o'clock, just 4 minutes after the polls closed. People, we're told, are still in line voting, but we do have some preliminary numbers coming in right now for the U.S. president race. Kamala Harris with 52% of the vote coming in. Donald Trump at 46, and then of course the other 2 candidates that we see there with 1%.
Yeah, and these are numbers that are just trickling in, just representing Texas. So those are what we have so far for the U.S. presidential race.
And then we're going to take a look at the Senate now. The race for Senate, this is between Colin Allred and Ted Cruz. Allred ahead there with 53%. And again, these are just preliminary numbers with only a small percentage of the precincts reporting in throughout, and the counties, of course, reporting in from throughout the state. So we will keep you posted. These are just preliminary numbers coming in at 5 minutes into the
Exactly,
hour.
because as we've talked about, if you are still standing in line at 7 o'clock to vote, that you will still get that opportunity to do so. So again, those early numbers, we do have another live crew out in the field for us, and that is our Brandon Schaff, and he is actually at the watch party for Michael Hunter, who's also vying for the City of Corpus Christi mayoral position. He is down at the Holiday Inn for that watch party. So Brandon, what can you tell us?
Hey, good evening, Leslie and Rudy. It's an exciting election night here in Corpus Christi. We are downtown at the Holiday Inn Marina, as you mentioned, and we're in the ballroom right now where Michael Hunter is standing by and ready to be brought in here. He is one of the mayoral candidates, so if you want to come in here, and obviously this is a exciting night for your campaign. I know we saw you earlier at one of the polling locations. You've been around all day vying for votes, right?
All day. We hit about 14 locations. We started at Veterans this morning. They had a line at 6:45 out the door. And that line did not go down until we left at 8 a.m. And we went to Hilltop, Ethel Ireland, The Island, Parkdale Presbyterian, Cal Allen ISD, all over the city.
Yeah.
Deaf Center. It was a big turnout.
Yeah.
It was a huge day.
And it has to be really great to see. Now, you are going against the incumbent mayor in Paulette Guajardo. There's also some other candidates on this ballot in this race, which a lot of people have their eyes on. What do you think is what really sets you apart from all these candidates, and why you think that you'll be able to come out on top tonight?
Well, I think that my voting record stands quite a bit different than the incumbent, and would stand a lot different than if the other individuals were to make it up on the city council, but I'm a fiscal conservative. I believe that we're spending a little bit too much. We need to take a break. Look, we should have gotten water 5 years ago. Now we're in a position where we're at 20% capacity. We need to diversify our economy. These are some of the things I've run on. During oil and gas, when oil and gas is doing great, the city does well. Oil and gas is down, we struggle a little bit. And I think if we were more diversified, we'd be able to weather those storms a little better.
Yeah, and obviously this will be, a really exciting race. We wish you the best of luck, and we'll be checking in with you throughout the rest of the night. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you all.
Absolutely. Yeah, and we will keep you posted here as everything progresses in the Corpus Christi mayoral race. Leslie, Rudy, we'll send it back to you.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. Again, interviewing with Michael Hunter, who's currently an at-large city council member, but again, vying for the position of mayor.
That's correct, absolutely.
And as we buckle in for the rest of this election night, going to be a long night, going to be an exciting night. We are also joined by 3 News political analyst, Dr. Bill Chris.
And we'll be checking in with him throughout the night. We've got him and our 3 News anchor, Mike Gillespie, standing by. So, Mike, Bill, what do you guys know so far? What do you think?
Hey, Rudy, Leslie, we are coming to you from an undisclosed bunker somewhere, or at least it feels that way. But I'll tell you, folks, if you got to be in a bunker and you have to talk politics, Dr. Bill Chris is the guy you want, our political analyst, also our resident historian. And so you're going to get a wealth of good information tonight. And Bill, what I want to do is talk about the numbers a little bit that our viewers have already seen and that we've already put on the screen, starting with that presidential race. And I think at the outset, we want to remind everybody, these are really early numbers, right?
Yeah, these numbers are essentially meaningless because they're nowhere near enough votes counted for us to be able to make projections, except in the most lopsided of situations like New Hampshire or Indiana, places like Kentucky, places like that, where the major networks have made calls. But most of these states, we're just not going to know anytime soon.
And the early numbers, again, showing Kamala Harris there with 51%, Donald Trump 48%. And the same thing, I think, is true and can also be said of the Senate race. This is the second most important race in Texas, according to a lot of folks. Ted Cruz, the incumbent, against Congressman Colin Allred. And Allred's been making a lot of noise here.
Yeah, Allred's done very well in terms of campaigning. The problem is it's just a huge mountain to climb for a Democrat to win statewide office. I've tried to remember or look up the last time a Democrat won a statewide race, and I honestly can't remember. I will have to look it up maybe during one of the breaks, but it's been a long time.
Yeah, it has been a while. So again, you see some of the early numbers there, but we expect that will change throughout the evening, and we'll continue to show you that. Before we go back, I do want to also talk here locally about the mayor's race. The more folks you have involved in a race on a local level, especially if you're talking for mayor or one of the single member council districts, the more likely you may be looking at a runoff. What are your thoughts early about our mayor's race?
Likelihood is there's going to be a runoff in the mayor's race. Because if you have like 6 or 7 candidates, as we do for mayor, unless there are only 2 of them that clearly are going to gain votes, or it's going to be somehow lopsided, which I don't think this race will be. I think you're likely to see a pretty close race between Michael Hunter and the incumbent Paulette Guajardo. But then there are at least 4 or 5 other candidates who are going to get some votes, and I suspect enough votes to cause there to be a runoff.
And you know, we were talking here a moment ago about some of the political ads we've seen so far here this season, and just in the mayor's race, it has really been a matter of Mayor Guajardo and Councilman Hunter going back and forth at one another, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I'm tempted to use certain Spanish and or Greek phrases or Latin phrases from foreign languages, because it's like the only way to describe what's going on. Negative campaigning just turns people off. But the problem with negative campaigning is, for the people that it doesn't turn off, that it doesn't make want to stay home, it apparently works. And so people keep doing it, you know? And so I keep seeing posts from people on social media, people texting me and emailing me saying, you know, I can't wait until this is over. When is this going to end? And the answer is it's never going to end until people stop believing all the negative ads that they see and stop caring about a lot of the negative stuff they see. And that's going to be a long time coming.
Yeah, and it's hard to know. I mean, because you have one ad that says, my opponent lied, and another ad right after that says, my opponent lied about me lying. And it just goes on and on. So, again, something to watch out for. Bill, we've got a long night ahead of us. We'll be here again with everyone else until 10 o'clock tonight, bringing you local election results. And so we hope that you'll stay with us here on 3 News Plus. But for now, let's go back to the desk.
All right, thank you, Mike. Dr. Chris, of course, we were talking about negative ads here. We know that this one race, State Representative District 34, lots of negative advertising there as well.
That's right. And the candidates in this one is Republican Denise Villalobos versus Democrat Solomon P. Ortiz Jr. Again, this is for Texas House District 34. A little bit about what this area represents. And comprised entirely of Nueces County residents, representing 54% of Nueces County. We're talking about downtown Corpus Christi, Robstown, Bishop, Agualuce. This does not include Padre Island, Flower Bluff, or anything east of Everhart. But like you were mentioning, Rudy, this is something that we have seen with a lot of contentious ads from both campaigns this entire election season.
This was Abel Herrero's old seat, and he decided not to seek re-election, if you recall. Republican Denise Villalobos, of course, the project manager over at Flint Hills Resources, stronger campaign than expected. She had those attack ads as well against Solomon P. Ortiz Jr. He's a former member of the Texas House of Representatives, son of former Congressman Solomon Ortiz, who represented South Texas for something close to, what, 30 years, 28 years, something
That's
like that?
right. And Denise, she, again, like you mentioned, Flint Hills Resources, she is local as well. And the person that we have watching this race very closely is our very own Lexis Green. She is joining us live tonight from one of those watch parties. So Lexis, what can you tell us from where you are tonight?
Hey, Rudy and Leslie, thank you so much. Like everyone has been saying tonight, it is so exciting, especially here at the Holiday Inn downtown Marina. I'm actually at a joint watch party for Solomon Ortiz Jr. and Eric Cantu, and just one hallway away, we've got Michael Hunter in the building, but we're really focused in on that House seat 34. It's a tight race, like you mentioned. It covers 54% of Nueces County, and these are both strong candidates. We've got Denise Villalobos for the Republicans, Solomon Ortiz Jr. for the Democrats, and they are fighting tooth to tooth to, you know, just earlier we were at the old Mary Carroll High School. We ran into both of them. So they were trying to get those last minute votes. So we actually did hear from Denise, and we'll have that sound for you right now.
This is a battleground district for the entire state of Texas. All eyes are in House District 34. We've had about over 600 voters here today at Carroll so far, and work hasn't even ended yet.
The work hasn't ended yet. You heard that yourself. And the polls haven't even been closed for 15 minutes. So this watch party is starting to heat up, warm up a little bit. Ortiz Jr. is changing, rightfully so, getting ready to come to his party. So when you check it back in with us in a little bit, we will get a chance to hear from him himself, and we will send it back to you guys in studio.
All right, Lexus, thank you so much. We'll also be checking in with you throughout the night. And you know what was really interesting is the different endorsements that both of these candidates have gotten. We have had the governor in the Corpus Christi area quite a few times.
Several
it feels
times,
over
yeah.
the last month, and he is someone who has endorsed Denise Villalobos. She's also gotten some other major Republican endorsements from the sheriff, from the county judge, as well as city leaders for Corpus Christi: Everett Roy, Roland Barrera, Mike Pusley. And then for Solomon P. Ortiz, he's also been endorsed by some very big names: the American Federation of Teachers, Planned Parenthood Texas, Barbara Canales, Jim Klein. Yeah. So the endorsements huge for both sides, exactly. And we do want to go ahead and go back to Mike and Dr. Bill Chris for some analysis on the race for District 34. I'm curious to hear y'all's thoughts.
Yeah, let's talk about District 34 here a little bit, Bill. So much to unpack about this race. It's open because Abel Herrero said, "I'm done." And so you've got Solomon Ortiz with the name recognition. You have Denise Villalobos, who just recently, Governor Abbott has kind of attached himself to her campaign. And he's been down here twice, I think, in the last few weeks campaigning for her. What do you see and what do you make out of what's happening with that?
Well, that's a race where negative campaigning might have a real impact. Certainly, the Republican Party nationally and statewide has as a very high priority the notion of increasing their percentage of the vote among minority constituencies. They're more successful. They've been more successful at that with Hispanic voters than with African American voters so far. But it's nonetheless part of what's on their agenda. And President Trump, former President Trump, has helped them in that respect in terms of getting more voters or new voters from those constituencies to vote. And so for that reason, there are a number of seats that have been targeted by the national and state Republican Party, including that State Representative District 34 race between Ortiz and Villalobos. There are others. There are 2 congressional races, actually 3 congressional races along the Mexican border, right, where there are also matchups between either incumbent Democratic congressmen or, in one case, a Republican incumbent congressperson who's being challenged by someone who's been in Congress before. And so that's part of the overall national strategy of the Republican Party.
You know, going into this race in particular, there may have been those who thought that, again, because Solomon Ortiz, his name is known, Villalobos not as much, that this was going to kind of be a cakewalk. You mentioned, though, negative ads may be working in this case. Probably one of the most devastating ads I think I saw was in this particular race.
Oh yeah, no, and that's the ad where somebody apparently had a phone out and took a video of a comedian having an exchange with Mr. Ortiz while he was in the audience. And you know, boy, if there's a lesson politically from this, it's you're always on, you're never off, right? You just always assume that somebody's photographing you, that somebody's got a microphone and a tape recorder.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask. Fair game, you think?
I mean, I think it's fair game. It's certainly protected by the First Amendment. Mm-hmm. And it was an unfortunate comment. It would qualify as a gaffe by Mr. Ortiz. So it's just like, there's some jokes that just don't go over. But what's going on here in terms of Governor Abbott getting involved, it's very clear that if not the top priority, one of the top priorities of Governor Abbott and his people is to defeat members of the legislature who are opposed to school vouchers and to elect members to the legislature who are in favor of school vouchers. This is the #1 issue in Texas politics today. And it pits rural against urban, it pits teachers against parents, it pits churches against one another, depending on the denomination or house of worship. and it's a very contentious issue, and it's being played out right now on the west side of Corpus Christi in Robstown, Calallen, and the other parts of that District 34.
And as you mentioned, of course, here earlier, we cannot discount the fact that they would really like to take what has been a Democratic position here and turn it Republican.
Yeah, I mean, the truth is that, and I've been saying this for I don't know how many electoral cycles, at least since the year 2016, probably before that, but at least since 2016, probably 2008. I've been saying the local Democratic Party is in a shambles, and the statewide Democratic Party is in a shambles. The last time a Democrat won statewide office in Texas was 1994. And since 1994, the number of Democrats who've been elected to Railroad Commission, State Treasurer, Lieutenant Governor, Governor, Attorney General, Supreme Court, Court of Criminal Appeals, you name it, any statewide office, the number of Democrats elected since 1994, and that's exactly 30 years, is zero.
How quickly we forget Ann Richards, right?
Well, yeah, Ann Richards, and hey, before that, President Lyndon Johnson, Governor John Connally. I mean, Texas has always been a one-party state. For 100 years, it was a one-party Democratic state, and for the last 50 years, it's been a one-party Republican state.
All right, much more to come. Let's go back to the desk.
All right, Dr. Bill, Chris, and Mike, thank you so much. We always appreciate that analysis. We do have new numbers coming in. We'll go ahead and take a look at those right now.
There they are.
And this is for the U.S. Senate race. And this is for U.S. President. You see Donald Trump taking the lead on this one with 55%, Kamala Harris at 44%, followed by the others, Jill Stein, Chase Oliver, but Donald Trump and Kamala Harris leading. And we're going to take a quick break as we go live on air on 3 News. We will be right back.
Election Night 2024. I'm Rudy Trevino. Welcome.
I'm Leslie Adamy. Thank you for keeping it here on 3 News as we walk you through election night. And we are keeping track of some of the major races happening here locally in Corpus Christi and the Coastal Bend region. Let's go ahead and look at the latest numbers for the city of Corpus Christi mayoral race. As you can see here, the incumbent Paulette Guajardo leading this one so far.
That's right, leading 48 to 35. We've got Bill Churchill standing by live here on the south side with Mayor Paulette Guajardo's party happening over at, we understand, one of the clubs down on
Yeah,
the
we're
south side?
seeing those numbers come in real time over here. And as soon as the crowd saw those numbers, we heard a lot of applause. We heard a lot of excitement. How's everyone doing tonight? And of course, I have Mayor Paulette Guajardo with me. We're seeing those numbers come in. Granted, they're the early numbers here, but how are you feeling at this point?
Super excited. The campaign has been going so strong, and we're very excited. We want to thank the voters for coming out. Early voting was, huge, and so today we're gonna, we're waiting for those boxes. But so far, victory.
A lot of calculation has to go into these numbers to see if there could be a runoff election, but you've been through that before, so you know.
We've been through that, and we won that. We took a victory there, and we're going to plan on another victory should that happen. But we'll wait and see.
You've been making the rounds this morning and throughout the campaign. Today, we caught up with you over at Veterans, and there was a good crowd out there of voters.
Absolutely, yes. So it's important to be, to try and visit all the locations as much as possible and interact with the people. That's the reason we're there. And so that was a very good thing today, to be able to interact with a lot of voters that were coming, that they have questions. Some of them you get the good opportunity to be able to speak to. So it was a good day. It was a good campaigning day.
Appreciate your time. We're going to continue to check in with you throughout the night and as we watch those numbers come in. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. We'll be checking in with you throughout the night. And you heard him mention the talks of a potential runoff. So that would happen if neither of the top 2 candidates managed to get more than 50% of the votes. And one of the other candidates that is running for this is fellow city council member Michael Hunter.
That's right. We got Brandon Schaff out there right now at the Holiday Inn with him. Brandon?
Yeah, good evening, guys. Welcome back to the Holiday Inn Marina here, the campaign event for Michael Hunter, the at-large city council member who is also running for mayor against incumbent Paulette Guajardo. And as you saw from those latest numbers, which they do have on behind me here as well, it is up to date, combined with some of those early voting numbers that we've seen so far in this mayoral race for Corpus Christi mayor. And you see Paulette Guajardo is leading, but Michael Hunter is not far behind. And of course, if it does get to the point where they have to have that runoff election, then you could very well see this race continuing beyond just what we see today on election day. And for those of you who are not as familiar with Michael Hunter and who he is, as I mentioned, he is that at-large city council member. He has been since 2016 when he was first elected, and he is also the son of longtime Republican state lawmaker, that's Representative Todd Hunter. And so he's somebody who's been representing the Coastal Bend in Austin for quite some time. And of course, Michael Hunter, one of the voices of the Corpus Christi City Council, and he showed up with some pretty good numbers so far, with people still kind of filing in here at the Holiday Inn. So we'll continue to keep you updated here from the Holiday Inn in downtown Corpus Christi. But for now, reporting live, Brandon Schaff, 3 News.
All right, thank you, Brandon, for that. And again, it's going to be kind of an exciting night here to know that this is a very close race between Paulette Guajardo and Michael here.
That's right. And of course, I know a lot of people at home are very interested in the big national race, that of U.S. Senate as well. But we have a lot of very huge local races, the one for City of Corpus Christi mayor being one of them that we are going to be continuously watching very closely throughout the night.
Not to mention, Leslie, of course, the race for district attorney.
That's right.
That is another big race that we're keeping an eye on. And of course, we're going to get you the latest numbers when we come back later on this evening. For now, thanks for watching. We will continue our coverage of the presidential race as well on ABC next.
Alrighty, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again and keeping it here on 3 News Plus as we continue our election night coverage, watching, of course, the presidential race, that of U.S. Senate, and more importantly, all the ones that are happening here locally in the Coastal Bend region that affect directly South Texas voters and residents.
Absolutely. But right now, I want to throw up that slate again that we just had up just a few minutes ago. Ted Cruz, Colin Allred, tight. Yeah, right now, Texas voters are deciding if Republican Ted Cruz will serve a 3rd term in the U.S. Senate or if Congressman Colin Allred will be the first Democrat to win a statewide race in 30 years.
And as they both continue to go after each other's records, there's no question that Cruz and Allred have the attention of the nation. This is a big and tight race that much of America is watching. This race has been dubbed also the most expensive in the country.
That's right. Donors have poured millions of dollars into the Texas race, specifically Democrats, as the valuable Senate seat is possibly up for grabs. And tonight, Ted Cruz is in Houston. Our sister station, KHOU, is stationed outside the campaign party and ready to report on what happens tonight. Jason Miles reports for us right now.
I'm Victor Jacobo in Dallas with the Allred campaign. Colin Allred is aiming to do something no Democrat has done in 30 years, win a statewide race in the state of Texas. Allred spent the final hours of this hotly contested race visiting the headquarters of the Dallas County Democrats. There, he thanked supporters and volunteers who were operating a phone bank and launching a last-minute door-knocking effort to turn out voters to the polls. Allred has concentrated his efforts on large urban areas, a contrast to Beto O'Rourke's strategy of visiting every county in the state in 2018. Allred's final message encapsulated his overall campaign themes of focusing on reproductive rights and criticizing Ted Cruz for what he calls failed representation. Allred's election night watch party gets started around 7 o'clock. Reporting in Dallas, Victor Jacobo.
Victor Jacobo reporting, and we got to see a little bit about what Cruz's challenger Colin Allred was up to. Now we have more on the Ted Cruz campaign.
I'm outside the Marriott Marquis Hotel in downtown Houston, where Senator Ted Cruz hopes to declare victory tonight. Cruz is in another tight race for re-election. Last time in 2018 against Beto O'Rourke. 6 years later, it's Representative Colin Allred. A challenger Cruz contends is too liberal on too many issues important to Texans. His campaign theme this year is Keep Texas, Texas. Cruz has traveled across the state on a 50-stop bus tour, giving a final appeal just last night in Cypress, where Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick, Democratic DA Kim Ogg, and others also appeared. This is among the most expensive, if not the most expensive, U.S. Senate battle in the 2024 cycle. Cruz has maintained a lead, albeit slight, in most polls. The final poll, of course, the one that counts, happening tonight. Cruz's watch party gets underway at 7 p.m., the same time polls in Texas close. Reporting from downtown Houston, Jason Miles.
Again, this is a very close race here. We saw a few minutes ago, 49% to 49%. Ted Cruz, Colin Allred.
That's
and
right.
It's, as Dr. Chris said, there hasn't been a Democrat elected to a statewide office since the 90s. We should check back in with him and see if his thoughts have changed. What do you think? It's going to be tight there, Dr. Chris?
Yeah, and he, Dr. Chris was talking about that, not having that Democrat elected statewide since the 90s.
1994.
Yeah.
1994.
He's a wealth of information, by the way, folks. That's why I like this assignment on election night. But let's dig more here into Cruz, Allred, and of course we need to mention Ted Brown, the Libertarian candidate there. But we saw the numbers change quickly. Again, early numbers will tend to do that.
It just depends on what counties are reporting to the state Secretary of State. And they kind of report it. There's no set order. It's just whatever they've got their votes ready. And you can see on the screen, at this point it's very close, but with a small number, or less than 50% reporting, and you got 49 to 49. What's amazing to me about this, Mike, and we talked about this before, what's amazing to me about this is how unpopular Ted Cruz is. I mean, he's incredibly unpopular because he runs way behind the other Republicans running for statewide office.
And I was going to ask you that because I think that's a great point. Do you think the votes for Allred, some of them at least, had to be just votes against, I'm a Republican, but I don't like Ted Cruz?
Yeah, some of them are those kind of votes. There are other people there's still a few people like this. I used to know a lot of people like this. My parents were like this. There used to be a lot of people who were just kind of in the middle, and they would just cast their vote strategically, like, what do we need? What would be good for the state? And there's some people who just think it'd be good for our state to have one Republican senator and one Democratic senator, because that way, whoever's in power, whoever has the majority, whoever has the presidency, you've got a pathway to go talk to those people.
Yeah.
When you have two Republican senators and a Democratic president, or a Democratic House of Representatives, you maybe can't get as much done. So that's one of the things that's a drag on Cruz, because Cornyn is very popular, our other United States Senator who's a Republican as well. But the thing that just killed Cruz, I really think his presidential race backfired on him, because people saw his debate performances, people saw his sort of personality, his lack of charisma, and it just turned people off. And then the coup de grace was, the attempt to run off to Cancun when the freeze was about to. I mean, that's legendary.
And Colin Allred certainly took advantage of that, a gift in his campaign advertising. Let me ask you about Allred here, though. What could he have done? I mean, this has been a close race throughout. What do you think, or is there anything he could have done to maybe distance himself from Cruz that he didn't do, or that you didn't see come out of his campaign?
I think the only thing that Allred could have done that might have helped him a little bit, and he still may win, but the thing that Allred could have done that would have helped him a little bit is he should have, I think, played up his connection to Baylor University more, the fact that he was a football player at Baylor, because the largest denomination among religious worshipers in Texas, probably second largest, is Baptist. Baptists are very politically active for the most part, and that might have helped him a little bit. The biggest problem that Colin Allred and all of these other candidates have is simply that they're Democrats in Texas, and that is the kiss of death. And the reason it's the kiss of death is because all you have to do is go look at the negative advertising that every Republican candidate this season has run. Every single one of them that I have seen mentions transgender or homosexuality or boys and girls bathrooms. That's it. That's the whole playbook, at least in Texas.
And you saw that same ad with different candidates inserted.
Essentially just the same thing over and over again. And as long as the Democratic Party is officially in a position, has taken official positions that subject them to that kind of an attack, in a place like Texas, you're just not going to go very far.
I think people don't realize, too, how long it has been since Nueces County has, we were talking about the presidential race earlier. I mean, how far back do you have to go to find Nueces County voting for a Democratic president?
Yeah, this is one of my favorite statistics because it's really intensely local, right? We're talking about our county, Nueces County. Well, Corpus Christi and Nueces County used to be Democratic strongholds. We had a Democratic state senator from Corpus Christi, Carlos Duran. We had a Democratic congressman from Corpus Christi, John Young in the old days, followed by Solomon Ortiz. And Solomon Ortiz Sr., Congressman Ortiz, and Senator Truan, they both had extremely efficient and well-oiled political machines, down to the level of blocks. I mean, Senator Truan, he didn't just have precinct captains, he had block captains on every street. You had people competing to see who could be his block captain. So he would have to have like co-block captains or whatever. That level of organization is just completely gone.
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. All right, we have talked enough for this segment. Why don't we send it back to Rudy and Leslie?
Boy, did you ever bring back some memories, Dr. Chris? I mean, we're talking about the days when we did have both candidates, both Senate candidates in Texas, when we had Lloyd Benson and John Tower. I mean, those were the days way back when. And certainly things have changed so much when we're looking at races like this one tonight at 49-49. We've got, of course, the local race that we need to pay attention to.
That's right.
As well.
And you know what's so interesting is that this is such an interesting segue from that race, that of U.S. Senate, to this one, because The reason that this next race became open and available to run for was because Mark Gonzalez held that position and then vacated it to go and run against Colin Allred. As we know, that did not, he did lose in the primary, but that left open the position for district attorney, and interim Nueces County DA, that was Jimmy Granberry, who's appointed by the governor. And these are the results as of right now. Jimmy Granberry leading this one with 56% of the votes over Terry Shamsey's 44%.
Interesting race there, because both are folks who worked under the tutelage there of Carlos Valdez, who was, of course, running for his own race. He's wanting back into the district court.
And we'll be getting to that one here in a little bit. But I do know that we have our Josh Maxwell. He is joining us live tonight from, I believe, the watch party for Jimmy Granberry over at Vernon. So Josh, talk to us. How's it going over there?
Leslie, you are correct. I am at the watch party here at Vernon's, where you can see a very substantial support for DA Granberry. Now, one thing I really do want to talk to you guys about is that substantial lead that he has over Democratic candidate Terry Shamsey. Now, I really do want to talk about the advantages that both candidates have. Now, both men do boast vast legal backgrounds that both go over 3 decades. The two men even see similar issues that they would like to resolve in the district attorney's office. I didn't really see any conflict or any different issues that either one of them had any differing views on, but I do want to start with Republican incumbent Jimmy Granberry, as he did say that he does feel that he has the advantage in terms of already being in office. Now, as you mentioned earlier, Granberry was sworn in last year after former district attorney Mark Gonzalez announced his resignation, who at time decided to run for Senate. Now, another thing to note about Granberry is that he also has felony prosecutor experience. Now, that's something that Shamsey does not have, focusing more on that defensive law. Now, that does give Granberry an advantage because he is able to see cases from both vantage points. Now, he does have a tough on crime campaign stance, and I want to touch on that because he did voice to me earlier before this watch party that one thing that he intends to do if he does win is that he wants to recruit more lawyers to the area. Now, another thing that kind of boils into that is needing more money. In fact, when he spoke to me, he said that was the primary thing he was going to work towards. The last time I spoke to Granberry in an interview, he told me that the district attorney's office was down 12 lawyers. Now, that did require that lawyers had to shuffle, and it often ended up in lawyers having to work overtime that they weren't necessarily getting paid for. He also said that over the bridge in San Pat County, they also had more competitive rates that made it a bit difficult to keep and retain talent. So Granberry also told me in a past interview that he makes up for that by trying to have a more team environment and making sure that his employees are valued. Now, leaning on more to Shamsey, he does say that he wants the community to lean more on to his extensive experience in criminal defense law and administration. Now, another thing that Shamsey does want to focus on, as his opponent Granberry, is focusing more on the rising cases within juveniles. In a past story, I did speak with the juvenile probation officer, who did tell me that he is seeing a rise in juvenile crimes, some even involving firearms. He even told me in that interview that they've even had to double the amount of juveniles that they've had to commit, in layman's terms, basically sending them one step closer to adult prison. Now, that is a last resort, but that definitely speaks to the rise and need to kind of really crack down on juvenile crime, which both Shamsey and Granberry are working on. Now, I do want to introduce DA Granberry's campaign manager, Brandy. Now, Brandy, kind of just tell me a little bit about your support for DA Granberry and what makes him the best candidate for the role.
Well, I think starting first and foremost, our governor, Greg Abbott, when Mark Gonzalez stepped down last year, there were many candidates that went through a very long and arduous vetting process by our governor up in Austin. And ultimately, Jimmy Granberry was chosen by Governor Greg Abbott to be our new district attorney. I think he brings just an amazing wealth of knowledge. He actually started in the district attorney's office originally when he started his career, so he's kind of come full circle. And one of the things he really wants to focus on too is like the newer lawyers and prosecutors that are coming in there, training them, and he's even brought in a bunch of retired lawyers to kind of oversee those new attorneys and educate them and help them to become better prosecutors in his office. I think he's done some amazing things since he's been in office. They've done a great job at clearing a lot of the cases out, which ultimately saves the citizens of this county hundreds of thousands of dollars because we don't have those people sitting in our jails and costing the taxpayers money. So I think that as a fiscally responsible person, he's really done a lot in that area for our county. And I think he has a lot more amazing things to come. And one thing I really want to point out is that after tonight, he will become the very first elected Republican district attorney in the history of Nueces County. And I think that is pretty amazing and huge for our county.
And to piggyback off of that, do you feel that his appointment by Governor Abbott kind of plays a part in his noticeable lead above Shamsi?
I think it may have played a part in the primary when it was, more of a Republican race. I think it played a part then, but now with the actual election, I really don't think it played as much of an effect. I think Jimmy really has across the board people voting for him, which I think is important in that position. Even though we run partisan races, he represents the entire county, and I think he's going to do an amazing job with that because he really, he has his finger on the pulse of what goes on here because he's worked on the defense side and now he's back on the prosecution, and I think that's amazing because he kind of knows what games those defense lawyers are going to bring into the courtroom, and he's got that knowledge under his belt.
All right, thank you so much, Brandy and Rudy, Leslie. We are definitely going to keep you guys informed on this race as those numbers and results keep turning in. But for now, reporting live from Vernon's, Josh Maxwell, 3 News. Now back to you guys at the desk.
All right, Josh, thank you so much for that live report. So, of course, Josh live at the watch party for Jimmy Granberry there at Vernon's, but also Terry Shamsi, his opponent, I understand has a watch party, I believe, tonight at the ranch.
That's right. It's happening right now over at the ranch. But of course, Terry Shamsi has a long career, more than 30 years experience as an attorney, as a county judge here at one time during the, I guess, early 2000s. And of course, he was assistant county attorney under Carlos Valdez during that tenure. He served as a county attorney and county judge as well from 2003 to 2006. So he's got extensive experience in the criminal justice system as well. He knows it well, and so we will be hearing from him later on tonight. That race is still too early to call.
Yeah, so lots of familiar names of making a resurgence in the races here for Corpus Christi, also for county. Speaking of county, we do have some results trickling in for Nueces County. Let's go ahead and take a look at some of those now. Alrighty, just some of the different results that we are tracking online here for you on 3 News Plus, as well as our website. We have a live blog of all the results that are coming in, as well as other election headlines. We do want to go now to another big race that we here in South Texas are watching, and that is for State Senate District 27. Now, this is another really big rematch between incumbent Democrat Senator Morgan Lamantia and Adam Hinojosa.
That's right. It has been one of those contentious, very controversial
Yes,
elections.
you've seen the ads.
And, we've had so many ads that both sides sparring and just continuing that, I guess, momentum that we've seen in this election cycle. Pretty incredible there. But we've got Adam Hinojosa with 62% over the incumbent Morgan Lamantia at 35%.
That's right. So those are the results so far for District 27. Now, our Michael Gibson did have the opportunity to talk with Senator Morgan Lamantia. This is her first term as state senator. Of course, she's looking to keep it going, right? And here's that interview.
Senator, thank you for joining us. Early voting is still underway right now, at least the count. And what's your feeling right now going into this early voting, waiting on the count to be totaled up for this? Are you still confident?
Yes, we are very optimistic about the results that we're going to see tonight. And I just want to go out and start tonight by thanking everyone that supported the campaign. My team worked so hard and they helped us every single day. And we had so many supporters throughout the community and throughout District 27. And we're extremely thankful for all of that support. And we're just so glad that so many people went out to vote today, especially on election day, to make sure their voice is heard and that South has a voice in this election. And so we're so thankful that everyone went to vote, and we're very optimistic about the results coming.
Have you had any kind of polling that has shown anything in your race so far?
You know, there's polling that a lot of people do and put out there. I don't put a lot of weight into polling, but I will say that in my experience, going out in the district to people, talking to people I've never met before, new faces, knocking on doors, we've been extremely welcome in all of our communities, in all of our 8 counties. So I feel very, very confident about what support we have in District 27 and how that's going to translate tonight.
And if you're reelected, your top priority, your number one thing you want to see get done in your next term?
So one thing is for sure, it's going to be windstorm insurance, a comprehensive bill that's really going to go after windstorm insurance, be able to bring the costs down, make it more efficient, and make sure that our coastal communities don't have an overly burdensome costs associated with living here, growing a family here, and having a business thrive here.
All right. Well, thank you very much for joining us this evening. We hope to hear from you later as more of the election results come in. And that's State Senator Morgan Lamantia. She is facing tonight Adam Hinojosa, the Republican candidate. And we'll hopefully see those election results coming in sooner than later. Thank you, Senator.
Absolutely. Thank you for your time.
That was Michael Gibson talking to State Senator Lamantia there. And State Senate District 27 includes 6 counties: San Patricio, it includes B County, Clayburgh County, Kennedy, Willacy, Cameron, and parts of Hidalgo and Nueces. This is a rematch, as we mentioned, between Senator Morgan Lamantia, the incumbent in her first term, defeating Adam Hinojosa, after a recount in 2022. Adam Hinojosa, of course, is the only candidate that was endorsed by Trump in Texas, who lost in 2022.
That's right. So another one of those races that we're going to continue to watch closely. But as you can see here, Adam Hinojosa, the Republican in this race, leading with 62% of the votes to Morgan Lamantia's 35% of the votes. Keep it here as we will go through some more election results. But we're going to take a quick break and go live on the air on 3 News. Stick with us. Well, good evening to you, and thanks so much for keeping it here on 3 News for your election night coverage. I'm Leslie Adamy.
And I'm Rudy Trevino. A long night with many races, many local races that we're certainly keeping an eye on here on 3 News. And we thank you for joining us this evening. We have got some interesting slates here we want to share with you. Here are some numbers. These are the latest ones. Corpus Christi Mayor, 48%. Paulette Guajardo on top, Michael Hunter trailing at 35%.
That's right. We are also watching the other major city of Corpus Christi races, but this is how some of the other mayoral candidates are doing. But at large, we have several candidates vying for the top 3 spots that will be our at large. And as you can see, we have Carolyn Vaughn leading with most of the votes at 17, Mark Scott at 16, Roland Barrera with 13, and Jim Klein. He is the only incumbent in this race. He's the only at-large candidate who is choosing to run again for that at-large position.
And again, we've got more here, member at large, with Larry Elizondo coming in at 10%, Rachel Caballero rather coming in at 9%, Jennifer Garcia at 8%, and Javid Mortaghi at 5%. And then we've got one more here that we're going to show you there for District 1, Everett Roy, 33%, with Billy Lerma at 26%. And Anthony Aquino at 17.
We also are watching the race for District 2, and that is another rematch between incumbent Sylvia Campos, leading right now 54% of the votes over Ben Molina's 46%. And I think we have time for one more slate to show you. And these are the results right now for District 3. Eric Cantu leading this one with 69% of the votes. We have even more election coverage right now on 3 News Plus. We'll see you there. Hello and welcome back. Thank you so much for keeping it here on 3 News Plus as we continue our election night coverage. We want to go back to talking about that big race that we're seeing in State Senate District 27, a rematch between Senator Morgan Lamantia and Adam Hinojosa. This is one of those that you have been seeing for the past several weeks with some highly contentious ads. This one's it's a big one that South Texas is watching, and we see that in the numbers of Adam Hinojosa leading right now 62% over Morgan Lamantia's 35%. And a few minutes ago we got to hear from Senator Morgan Lamantia, who was talking with our Michael Gibson. We do want to go ahead and check in now with Mike Glaspia and Dr. Bill Chris to hear y'all's thoughts on this race. How's it going throughout the night, and if it's matching up to your predictions, Dr. Chris?
All right, let's talk about that. Thank you, Leslie, Rudy. State Senator District 27, Adam Hinojosa, Morgan Lamantia, Robin Lee Vargas there. It is easy if you are someone who is supporting Adam Hinojosa to look at those numbers and say, look at that, We've got to remind folks, though, you know, it's just now 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, you got to look at the upper right-hand corner of the screen where it says 1% reporting or 2% reporting.
Yeah.
That's the operative number, because what that tells you is that just means that, you know, a Republican precinct or two have reported their, you know, or a county, because this is a, you know, this senatorial district's got 15, 20 counties in it. And
Yeah.
so that's one small county maybe, or part of one small county or something.
Yeah. This was actually the first negative ad I saw this campaign cycle. There may have been others, but this was the first one that I saw directed at Hinojosa. And
Yes.
for a while I thought, wow, that's pretty strong stuff right there.
Yeah, well, actually, I'm a political consultant, and I was like, who is Adam Hinojosa? What is this? Which race is this again?
Yes.
And because most of Corpus Christi, where most of us live, most of Corpus Christi is not part of that senatorial district. Most of Corpus Christi is included in Juan Chuy Hinojosa's district, which is sort of center of gravity is in Hidalgo County.
Yeah, and he, of course, ran unopposed and
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
he's a shoe-in.
yeah,
So
very popular guy. And by the way, that's a good point here. We should explain to folks, if you went and you did early voting, or if you voted today and you looked at your ballot and you're seeing some of these races that we're covering and you're thinking, wait a minute, I don't remember voting for those people. There's a reason for that. Some of these districts are drawn in ways that will take you everywhere.
Well, let's be honest. Most of these districts, the vast majority of these districts, are, let's just be frank, gerrymandered. And they're politically gerrymandered. And they're gerrymandered in such a way as to make sure that over 90% of them are either safe Republican or safe Democratic districts. And so there are 435 members of Congress. The reason why you need 270 electoral votes to win the presidency is because there are a total of 538 electoral votes available. That's 3 for the District of Columbia, and the other 535 represent 100 senators and 435 members of the House of Representatives. That's where we get the number 538. 270 is one more than half of that. But of those 435 congressional districts, in our case, represented by Michael Cloud from Victoria. Of those 435 congressional districts, there are only about 20 to 25 of them that are actually winnable by both parties. Think about what that means, right? Think about what that, I used to teach this in political science class. The other 420 or 410 or 400 congressional districts are either safe Republican or safe Democratic districts. And everybody knows it.
Yeah, yeah. So you understand now a little bit better, just like I do. Dr. Chris, thank you for that. Let's go back to Rudy and Leslie.
All right, you guys, thank you so much for that analysis. Of course, one of the other big races that we are continuing to watch throughout the night, the mayor for City of Corpus Christi, which has a whopping 6 candidates.
That's right, and we're going to go to Bill Churchwell, who's standing by live at Brewster's Ice House on the south side, where her victory party, you could say, is going on.
Hey there, good evening, and it's all smiles here at this watch party for Paulette Guajardo. You know, a lot of people here, after seeing those numbers come in, there's a weight lifted off of their shoulders, right? That anxiety is gone, and now they're just enjoying the evening. They're having their food and drink and just, again, watching as the precincts report tonight. But again, a big lead for Mayor Paulette Guajardo. And, you know, they're just waiting to see if she reaches that 50% magic point in the night. And I think I found one of her biggest fans right over here. Right over here. There we go. And what is this fan's name?
Abby.
And I tell you what, she has a T-shirt and everything. And tell us your name, sir.
My name is Luis Rodriguez.
And your supporters, you know, why did y'all decide to support the mayor this time around?
Okay, so we had concerns for the water in the streets. And we know that she will do it. We have all the confidence in the world that she will do it. My opinion and our opinion, we feel like she's the best mayor that Corpus will ever have. And that's why we're here supporting her.
You know, you touched on the water issue, right, and streets as well. And there are a lot of issues we are faced with here in this city. But we've also seen some of these issues tackled head on.
Yes, it has been tackled, yes. And all she needs is more time to finish what she promised she was going to do. And I feel very confident she will she will complete her mission, which she wanted to do. You know, she's the best mayor we ever have in Corpus Christi, the best.
Appreciate your
All
time.
right,
Thank
thank
you
you.
so much.
All right.
Enjoy the rest of your evening. As again, we watch those numbers. It's crowded in here, so we're watching the crowd as well. But you know, the tables here are full of supporters, and again, just pretty a relaxed atmosphere. We actually see the mayor. There we go, right up near the stage. She's making her rounds, saying hello to everyone. And again, just all smiles at this point. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you so much for that. As you can see, there's certainly a party at that
There
watch
certainly
party
is.
at Brewster Street, South Side. So as you can see, these are the numbers right now. Paulette Guajardo leading this race, certainly 48%, Michael Hunter at 35%. Isabel Riza, a sociology professor with Del Mar College, at 11% of the votes. Again, to avoid a runoff for this race, someone will have to win more than 50% of the votes. But as you can see there, Mayor Guajardo is leading that one, and we'll continue to keep a close eye on that one. But we do want to take things now from the city of Corpus Christi over to Clayburgh County.
That's right. We're covering our area here in the Coastal Bend, and one of the races that we're keeping an eye on is the race for sheriff of Clayburgh County. The incumbent, Richard Kirkpatrick, the Republican there, facing challenger Danny Pena. And tonight, our own Michael Gibson spoke with Richard Kirkpatrick, the current sheriff there, who wants to be reelected. Right now, we don't have any numbers to present just yet from Clayburgh County, but we do have this interview with Sheriff Kirkpatrick.
Well, we have Clayburgh County Sheriff Richard Kirkpatrick joining us. Thank you for joining us, Sheriff. We're still waiting for early returns to come in right now. What's your feeling?
Well, you know, it's a positive feeling. You know, this is not my first go around. I've been here before, and you know, I'm feeling positive. I'm feeling you know, excited and waiting for these results to come in. And again, like I said, it's been a long road, and I'm excited to be here, and I'm proud to be done the job that I have over the last 4 years.
Now, I've really not ever encountered anyone who said they love campaigning, but what is campaigning like? Is it easier being sheriff or easier to campaign? Why or why not?
Well, well, actually, it's a tough deal. You know, any politician that gets out in this kind of thing, you know, it's difficult because, you know, I can't only speak for many politicians that have come and gone and people who have done this many times over. You know, it's a job. You know, part of being in a grassroots campaign and knocking on doors and talking to people, you know, is not the easiest thing in the world sometimes. And you know, sometimes it's an exciting thing. And again, it's a good thing because, you know, you get to go out and talk to people that you ordinarily may not have talked to, and let alone that, you know, a lot of people have sold their home, moved to different areas, and so they're new to the county. And so it's a time when, you know, people like myself or other politicians that get out there and they see their constituents, they know who they are, and they're able to connect with them one-on-one. And I believe that's a real big part of it.
Well, thank you very much, Sheriff Kirkpatrick. Again, Sheriff Kirkpatrick is in a race against Danny Pena, retired DPS, and we do appreciate your time, and keep watching those election results. We'll have them here on Channel 3 just as fast as we can get them on the screen. Thanks again, Sheriff.
You bet. Thank you.
Thank you to Sheriff Kirkpatrick and, of course, Michael Gibson for providing us with that interview. Sheriff Kirkpatrick facing Danny Pena, who was a Texas Ranger with DPS. He is. There is a, understand, a rift between Pena, because he worked with Kirkpatrick there as his chief's deputy. He was asked to resign in 2019, so there is a little bit of history there. So the numbers, once again, if we don't have them yet for the race in Clayburgh County for sheriff, but we will get those to you as soon as we get those numbers from the county.
Exactly. And again, Sheriff Kirkpatrick, the incumbent in that race, a position that he has held since 2016, as Rudy just mentioned. As soon as we start to get those results, we'll pop them up on screen for you. But we are going to actually go ahead and take things back here to the city of Corpus Christi. We have our Brandon Schaff standing by live downtown Corpus Christi with one of the other mayoral candidates, and Michael Hunter. Hey there, Brandon.
Hey, good evening, guys. Welcome back to the Holiday Inn Marina here in downtown Corpus Christi, joined again live by Corpus Christi mayoral candidate Michael Hunter, and we are here really keeping an eye on these numbers. Obviously, you know, it's not a done deal yet. It may wind up being a runoff by the time this is all said and done. How are you feeling as this night is progressing and your supporters are coming out here in downtown Corpus Christi right now?
Well, thank you for having me. You know, it's tough to tell what's going to happen, but it looks like it'll be a runoff, which is great. That means we have another month and a half to try to change our campaign to winning. And I'm actually blessed that this many people voted for me. I'm honored to have this much support. It actually makes me feel really good that this many people would. Obviously, we would like to win outright, but it does make me feel really good that this many people put their vote behind my name.
Absolutely, and we know that you've already been representing the people here in Corpus Christi as an at-large city council member. To see the potential to be able to move up to the next level as the mayor of this city,
Sure.
You know, how exciting is the prospect of that, knowing that there are so many people that have been supporting you so far?
It's very exciting. Sorry, excuse me. We've been working really hard for this moment. I've tried very hard on city council. I guess I've been there through 9 budgets, 8.5 years, and to make it to this point through all the support we've had in the past years and through the support that we have this time around, it really, I know I probably should be sad that we didn't win, but I do feel genuinely humbled by this experience and very much honored from the support we've been given. So.
Absolutely, and it's not an easy thing to campaign for such a high-profile position, but
No.
you know, you're right there, and this is an opportunity for you to really see, you know, the support that you were able to get from this city, from the votes that you've gotten so far. If you do wind up coming out on the other side of this when the runoff happens, you know, what is it that you would really look forward to doing on the first day as the Corpus Christi mayor?
Using the gavel. You know, one thing that we have to do as mayors, we have to take control of the meeting. We have to make sure that every meeting is held with the utmost respect and responsibility. And using the authority to strike the first meeting, I guess to initiate it by using the gavel would be kind of a great dream come true, because that's when you know you're officially the mayor.
Absolutely, and we'll see how everything plays out as all of this continues throughout tonight. You'll be heading to Hard Knocks after this for your
Yes.
next stop for the campaign event tonight, right?
Yes. So I'll be driving out to the island to show my support for the people that helped me out there, and I'm looking forward to say hi to all of them. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you.
Good luck the rest of the night.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
All righty, yes, so we'll send it back to you guys in the studio, reporting live here downtown Corpus Christi. Brandon Schaff, 3 News.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much for those live reports. And as you just heard, Michael Hunter seems pretty confident right now that this is headed to a runoff election between him and the incumbent Mayor Paulette Guajardo. So we will have to wait and see as more numbers continue to trickle in, and we're going to keep it here on the City of Corpus Christi issues. We're going to focus now on the different props. We have propositions that are focusing on streets, parks, our CCFD, CCPD. Let's go ahead and start now with Corpus Christi Prop A. Right now, we are seeing 68% voting in favor of this prop, against 32% against. A little bit about Prop A, as you see right there, that is focusing on streets. It has a pretty big price tag when it comes to our streets, $89.5 million for street, sidewalk, and drainage improvements on 18 projects. There are 7 roads that have been designated for pretty big improvement projects, and then 10 roads that have been included with kind of design-only projects. And some of those, just to name a few, include Rand Morgan Drive, Allen Crest Drive, Graham Cimarron Boulevard, Lipes, Rodfield Road, so some south side areas. So that's just a little bit about Prop A, as you can see, going strong so far with 68% of the votes.
Yeah, the total bond package on that one is $89.5 million, and it looks like it's headed for an approval there, but it's at 61%. Again, too early to call at this point. Now, Prop B, 37.65 million. This is earmarked for parks We're looking at the numbers here, breaking that down for you. It, again, looks like it's doing well at 61%, but some of this money is going to be earmarked. $10 million to replace the Oso Golf Center clubhouse, $5 million for Commodore Park improvements, $4.5 million for the TC Airs Aquatic Center, $3.5 million for the new baseball and one softball field over at Labonte Park, and $3 million for Sherrill Veterans Memorial Park. Other upgrades to Cole Park, Greenwood Baseball Complex, St. Andrews Park, Perry Place, Dimmitt Pier, and several others are included in that price tag at $37.65 million. That is Proposition B.
And then Prop C, another one that City of Corpus Christi residents seem to be voting in favor of, and this one is geared toward public safety. This one has a price tag of $45 million with $30 million set aside for CCFD improvements specifically. And just a couple of those items included in the $45 million price tag: $12.5 million to replace fire station number 8 on Castores Road. That's just one of the many items in this proposition. That's Prop C. We'll go really quickly to Prop D before we move on to another big item here that we're watching tonight.
Prop D at $2.85 million is for cultural facilities, $2 million for design only of a community senior center complex, including Garcia Library. And of course, we will continue with more of the propositions that are up for grabs and that are up for public decision tonight.
That's right. And right now we do have some really big election headline, a big election headline, and that being that former President Donald Trump taking Texas in the presidential race with 54% of the votes over Kamala Harris's 45%. Again, this is for reporting here in Texas.
Let's talk to Dr. Bill Chris and Mike Gillespie here and see what they think about this. Guys?
Yeah. Okay, that was, we were looking at the number there along with everybody else who's watching. Donald Trump takes Texas. Not a big surprise, though, right?
No,
not at all.
If Kamala Harris had taken Texas, there'd be some people having heart attacks and stuff.
Yeah, it would have not turned out like we predicted it would.
The last time the state of Texas went for a Democratic presidential candidate was 1976.
Jimmy Carter.
That was almost 50 years ago.
Yes, yes. Thanks for reminding me.
Texas is a red state.
It is.
Texas going for a Democratic presidential candidate would be like Massachusetts voting Republican.
And, I mean, we should just mention this preliminarily. I mean, we're talking local stuff here, but Donald Trump also, I think, doing well nationally as well.
He's doing well all over. The election turnout has not been. It's funny because you hear this is the problem with anecdotal evidence. You hear these anecdotal stories. These stories. Oh yeah, we've talked to local election officials. A lot of turnout, a lot of lines. It seems like there's a lot of people are fired up. No, if you look at the numbers, turnout's actually pretty moderate.
Yeah.
This is not a high turnout election either nationally or locally. And so what you're getting more is sort of committed voters.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to get higher and higher percentages as time goes on of people voting early as opposed to people voting on election day.
Yeah.
And so once the early returns come in, unless it's a really close race, you can almost call it right then and there. And right now what it's looking like is that in Nueces County, for example, Nueces County, if you look, it's running almost exactly the same as statewide, 54, 55% Republican, 45, 46% Democrat.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, let's go back for a second to those props we were talking about before we went to the news that Donald Trump has won Texas. You were telling me something interesting. A lot of times what people vote for, Prop A, B, C, depends kind of on where it is, what comes up first, and you know what it is that they see first, and they kind of go down the list, and then eventually they figure out that, okay, I don't want us to run out of money, so maybe the ones that come later, you know, don't get the yes votes. But in this case, it looked like, as we were going through the screen, that all of the props on the Corpus Christi ballot there right now, people are for them. They're winning.
Yeah, and which is kind of interesting because I was just commenting as we were looking at these returns. You got 74% for, 60% for cultural facilities. Mm-hmm. Proposition D, 54% for streets, C district. that's so. But you can see the votes starting to drop off as people get to the bottom of the ballot. Flood control, nobody wants to get flooded. But what's interesting about this is you got 60-70% voting for these bond issues, which those bonds get paid back with tax money.
Yeah.
Right. And so you got a Republican county that's voting for all of these tax increases, which is really kind of strange.
You want to see who those Republicans are?
I would like to meet these people. And this is the CCISD prop for 135 million, and that is going down.
Yeah.
So a lot of times size also makes it.
This one, if this one fails, it would surprise me. It would be the first one in many years. About every other year they do this, and this would be the first one in many years.
Yeah, first CCISD bond prop to be defeated in quite a while.
All right, we're going to go ahead and send it back over to the desk and let Rudy and Leslie take it from here.
All right, Bill and Mike, thank you so much for all of that, talking about Trump taking Texas right now, and also the different props that we've been talking about throughout the night. We're going to take a quick break here on 3 News Plus. We'll continue to show you those results as they are coming in, but we are about to go live on air on 3 News, so we'll see you there.
Welcome back to Election Night 24. I'm Rudy Trevino. We are covering so many races, local races and Coastal Bend races tonight.
That's right. One of those big ones being the mayoral race for the city of Corpus Christi. We do have our Bill Churchwell joining us live tonight from the watch party for incumbent Mayor Paulette Guajardo. Hi there, Bill.
Hey there, yeah, a lot of excitement here at the watch party for Mayor Paulette Guajardo, and as you can tell, it's all smiles, and it almost feels like a weight has been lifted off the room as we watch those numbers tonight. Of course, Mayor Paulette Guajardo in the lead. We're waiting to get to that 50% mark. Of course, you know, I've asked you earlier how you're doing, but you know what? You have a lot of support here with you this evening. Where does that support come from? You know, who's all out here with you?
Oh my gosh, these are wonderful, wonderful supporters. These are friends and these are just constituents that said, we want to help. We want to be part of this campaign because we want you to succeed. And this is really, it is so humbling that people have come forward to say we want to be a part of the team. We are a part of the team because I serve the city. And our campaign has been so strong, and I've just been so grateful because it takes the people. And so I'm just grateful. And you have all of our friends and family, a lot of people who aren't here, they want to see us move forward and progress, and we're going to continue to work hard.
You know, along with all the time and effort into the job itself, but you also are spending so much time and effort on the campaign trail, and you really do have your family backing you as well.
Oh yes, no, my family's number one, and my mom, for example, has been with us from day one, and she sits at Veterans High School with her son and just supports me so much. So yes, it's about family, it's about friends, and it's just about serving the city, and I'm just honored. I'm honored and I'm humbled, and we're going to continue to work hard and keep our eyes on these numbers.
We'll continue to check in with you, and of course, we can hear all of your supporters right there behind you. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
Bill, thank you so much. Quite a party over there at that watch party at Brewster Street Southside. Let's go ahead and take another look at the numbers that are coming in for this race. As you just saw moments ago, Paulette Guajardo still leading this race with the majority of the votes. If we can pop up those results, there we go. And Michael Hunter at 35%. And we have Isabel Ariza, the Del Mar College professor, with 11%. A whopping 6 candidates who threw their hat into the race for the mayor of Corpus Christi.
Absolutely. And we heard from Michael just a little while ago when he was speaking to our Brandon Shaft out at the Holiday Inn, saying that, you know, he was enthused about it. He said he gave it his best. Not really conceding, but saying that it still seemed positive about continuing forward and hoping that perhaps the tide will turn later on tonight.
Yeah, he seemed to be pretty confident that this can still result in a runoff election for him. So we'll continue to keep you updated. Here are some of the other race results that we have trickling in for other City of Corpus Christi races. District 1, you can see Everett Roy, the incumbent, leading that one so far, as well as District 2 between Sylvia Campos, the incumbent in that race. She is winning this one so far, 54% of the vote over Ben Molina. That one's a big, District 2 is a big rematch. And then we have District 3, Eric Cantu leading that one with 69% of the votes over Albert Carrillo's 31%.
Very, very tight races there. And still, again, too early to call as the night progresses. Of course, we want to reassure you that we are covering the entire coastal bend. We've got reporters everywhere at this moment, and we hope that you stay with us because we're streaming live as well.
Yes, you can head on over to 3 News Plus right now, where we are continuing that nonstop election coverage. We will see you there.
We are back live now. This is a rematch that you're looking at between Democrat incumbent Senator Morgan Lamantia and in her first term as senator, defeated Adam Hinojosa back in 2022. Republican Adam Hinojosa, as we all know, is a small business owner here and only candidate endorsed by Trump here in Texas who lost back in 2022.
That's right, and that was the last time that these two faced, which kind of sets the stage up for a rematch this election cycle. And as you can see, Adam Hinojosa coming back with a vengeance at 65% of the votes right now over Morgan Lamantia's 33%. And earlier you got to hear from the senator talking about, what her first term has meant, what it would mean to continue. But we do have an interview now with Adam Hinojosa, the Republican candidate in this race. Our Michael Gibson got the opportunity to interview him. Let's go ahead and listen in.
And we're now joined with Adam Hinojosa. You're apparently maybe at your campaign headquarters. What's going on, and what do you think about the early returns so far?
Well, we're starting to see some early returns, voting results from the northern part of the district, and it looks very, very encouraging. We're doing extremely well up here in the north, hitting our marks. We're anxiously awaiting the results from the Rio Grande Valley, but we're very, very optimistic. We've done a ton of work down there, so we're extremely excited and optimistic about what's to come the rest of the night.
And Senator Morgan Lamantia is from the Valley, down in that area for District 27. Is that an uphill battle? Do you think you'll be able to hold your own there?
Well, I don't have to outright win those areas. I just have to do a little bit better than what I did last time. And I believe we've done so much work down there that is very, very possible. And so we're just excited to see those early votes come out and then see what happens here from election day results. But I'm sure it'll be a close race, but we're excited and optimistic. We're seeing some great returns up here in the north. So it shows the work that we've been doing, and we're excited to see it happen.
And if you are able to come out ahead of this, what's your first thing you want to do when you get into office? What's the one thing that needs to be done?
Well, we need to have more representation for South Texas. We need to really showcase our South Texas values, but there's a lot on the table with way of infrastructure, border security, all the things, all the economic things that we have to work on with our two ports in this district. There's a lot on the table that we have to get to work immediately on and start championing for those issues in South Texas. So I'm excited to get to work. I'm ready. I'm prepared. Just need these results to come in the way we hope they will, and we're off to the races.
Thank you very much. That's District 27 State Senate candidate Adam Hinojosa, who's trying to unseat Morgan Lamantia. I appreciate your time.
Sounding very optimistic there for sure.
He absolutely is. And Michael, thank you again for conducting that interview for us. Again, as we've been talking about, this is a big South Texas rematch. And as you can see, things a little different this time around. Let's go ahead and go check back in with Michael Aspia and Dr. Bill Chris for reaction to the results that we are seeing coming in for this race.
Thank you for that, Leslie, Rudy. We appreciate that. Let's talk about some of these numbers because, again, early numbers. We're looking at Nueces County numbers. When you look at that district, it's got like 6 counties in it. 6 or more, probably.
Yeah, at least.
I mean, San Pat, B, Clayburgh, Kennedy. Then you look at Willacy and Cameron.
Cameron and Hidalgo.
Yeah, part of Nueces, part of Hidalgo. So there's still a lot happening there. Do those counties, I mean, they have a chance to really impact this vote, though, don't they?
Well, yeah, more than half the, or roughly half the votes in that senatorial district, if not more than half the votes, are in the valley, the Rio Grande Valley. So that's Willacy County, Cameron County, Hidalgo County, and those votes, for whatever reason, for one thing, Hidalgo County is one of the most populous counties in the state. Those votes tend to trickle in later. And so that race will be impacted by when the valley counties report their votes. Same thing's true of the 13th Court of Appeals district races. Those are very competitive, and there will be a big kind of vote dump from Hidalgo and Cameron counties that will sway that race one way or the other.
Well, and we would suspect, I mean, we mentioned earlier that Senator Lamantia from the Valley, you would expect then that would help her when those votes start coming in, wouldn't you?
Yeah, you would expect that, and there are hotly contested congressional races up and down the valley from Laredo down to Brownsville, and that will help, I think, to generate some higher turnout among Democrats in those counties.
Yeah, Governor Abbott, of course, really, again, going on the offensive for Adam Hinojosa, going so far as to saying, I need him in order to do the work I want to do, right?
Yeah, which is school vouchers.
School vouchers.
It all comes
that's the
down,
one in the room.
It all comes down to school vouchers. That is Governor Abbott's #1 priority, and it's just something that he's got his heart set on. And he went after the Speaker of the House, Dade Phelan, tried to get him beat in the Republican primary. That didn't work.
Yeah.
And now there's a movement to get rid of Dade Phelan as the Speaker of the House and put somebody more akin to Dan Patrick and Ken Paxton, install somebody like that, a extreme right-wing Republican as Speaker of the House. And so I never thought I would be saying that the left wing of the Republican Party is now Citizens Against Lawsuit Abuse and the Chamber of Commerce. Everybody else is to the right of that, which is pretty far right.
It is.
That's like saying the Wall Street Journal is liberal.
Is liberal.
That's what you're saying.
We're not saying it. All right, we're going to go back to the desk. Rudy, Leslie, take it away.
All right, guys, thank y'all so much. Now we're going to go back to Corpus Christi City Council. We have a lot of people on this race. The potential for the makeup of City Council to be just completely different. Lots of new faces, but also returning faces, but in different facilities or different positions, right? So let's go ahead and look right now at District 1. You can see Everett Roy leading this one, but not by much. He does have 32% over Billy Lerma, who is coming in 26%, and then of course Anthony Aquino with 17% of the votes for District 1, which includes downtown Corpus Christi, the North Beach area, the West Side, as well as Annaville and Calallen.
And we've got some more candidates there that are coming up. We can change that screen to District 2. We've got Sylvia Campos over Ben Molina. That's a rematch right there. Sylvia there leading with 54% over Ben Molina's 46%.
And taking a look at District 3, so there is not an incumbent that is running for re-election for this position. So there is going to be a new face in District 3, and this is between Eric Cantu, who is leading this race so far, 69% of the votes, over Albert Carrillo's 31%. About District 3, this is the region that includes most of the south side from SPID to Saratoga, also extends far west to include CCIA. So again, Eric Cantu leading this one, 69% of the votes here.
And then over on District 4, where we have no incumbents, the area that makes up Padre Island, Flower Bluff, and a small portion of the Eastern Bay area east of Airline Road, Eric Magnuson, the fourth. Okay. We've got Caleb Paxton there, 44%. We skipped over it just a little bit. That was a little too fast there. We can get back to the number 4, District 4. Okay, there you go. Now we got 44 Paxton there. Paxton at 44%, May Mendoza 24, and then Dan Grimsbow with 16. And as we mentioned at the end there, Eric Magnuson coming in with 16%.
Yeah, and let's go ahead and look at District 5. You guys got a sneak peek of that one. District 5, the incumbent in this race is leading it so far. That is Gil Hernandez. This one is most of the newer part of the south side, everything south of Saratoga, east of Weber Road, down to the Oso Creek area. Like I just mentioned, incumbent Gil Hernandez leading this one, 55% over David Peña's 45% for District 5. And now we go on to at-large, where we have
a whole list.
Quite a slate of candidates. 10 candidates vying for at-large positions. The top three will get those.
Exactly, and many of them, of course, familiar names. Many have served in various capacities, either on City Council or City Council and County Commissioners here in Nueces County. Carolyn Vaughn, of course, being one of them. She's coming in at 17%. At the top three, of course, are the ones that would probably get the at-large positions in this case. These are all folks that we've known. Larry Lizondo, they're coming in with about 10% with at large.
Yeah, and then it kind of trickles down from there. But if we can go to the previous slate really quickly, just so that we see the top three. I think we saw Carolyn Vaughn was leading that one. I don't want to misspeak, but I think I saw that. Okay, there we go. Mart Scott at 16, and then Roland Barrera with 13%. So far, those are the top three leading candidates for at large. We'll go ahead and quickly also take a look at the propositions, because it's my understanding that those are finalized except for Prop E. So if we can take a look at Prop A.
Prop E, if we could talk about that for just a moment.
Oh, there we are. Okay, so Prop A is going to win, residents voting in favor. That won 68% of the votes. That one, an $89.5 million price tag. That's going to go toward street and road improvements throughout the city of Corpus Christi. Prop B focused a lot on our city parks. And as you can see, folks voting in favor of this one, 62%, 38 against. So this one gets approved.
There you go. Prop C, we're talking about public safety here, 75%. That is a gigantic number there for a Proposition C at $45 million, but $30 million is for the fire department. The largest improvements are for, of course, to replace fire station number 8 on Castores, just north of McCardle Road, $12.5 million to replace fire station number 19. So all of it going, most of it going to safety, of course, here in Corpus Christi.
That's right. And then Prop D, also another local prop that's going to get the approval with 60% of the votes, and that one goes for cultural facilities. What we mean by that, the community senior center complex like the Garcia Library. And then taking a quick look at Prop E, which again, this one is not for sure just yet, but as you can see, pretty tight, focuses a lot on streets and improvements in the C district, 54% voting for. So far, 46 against. Now, Props E and F are very interesting in the sense that they are both sales tax related, but also they have expiration dates on them. If they get approval, they are good for the next 20 years. So a lot at stake for Props E and F. And as we went into the evening, we got a chance to talk with City Manager Peter Zanoni about all things City Council and propositions. So we'll go to that interview now.
And we're now joined by City Manager Peter Zanoni. Mr. Zanoni, what about the early election results so far as the propositions? It looks like all the propositions are passing through with flying colors except Prop E.
Right, yes, sir. So there's two items on the ballot. There's the bond program that had 4 propositions, and then the 2 sales tax propositions. So on the bond program that includes streets and public safety and parks and cultural facilities, really good pass rate there in the 60%, which demonstrates confidence in the voters in what we've been doing at City Hall for the past 5 years. The Proposition E, which is for streets and for the American Bank Center and 5 cultural facilities behind it, it's passing. It's not as strong as the others, but we feel confident that that will pass. The early returns show favorable passage on that one. And then the final one, Proposition F, for stormwater and drainage and flood control, that one's passing with good rates as well.
And you think this work, if it's all approved or the work that is approved, how soon will we start seeing some progress?
Right. So we have put new business practices. Let me start that over. We have put new business practices in place since Bond 2020, which immediately puts work in progress. And so on the bond propositions, we're going to see contracts taken to council in December, some of the early construction packages. We expect that all the design work will be awarded within 5 months of this election. That's consistent with what we've done for the past 2 bond programs. That's why Bond 2020 is nearly complete. 4 years later, that bond program, $75 million bond program, is almost complete. When we remind ourselves of how long it used to take the city to complete bond programs, it was double that time, almost 10 years in some cases to complete bond programs. So we'll be taking design work to council immediately. We'll also be taking some of the construction work that's shovel ready, and that's going to happen these next couple of weeks at City Council.
All right, I do appreciate that. City Manager Peter Zanoni talking about our propositions, which right now look like they are going to pass. We'll have more later in the evening on this issue. Thank you again, Mr. Zanoni.
Okay, thank you, Michael.
All right, Michael and City Manager Zanoni, thank you so much for that interview and talking about all things city. We do have a big update in one of the races that we are watching. We'll go ahead and take a look at that now.
District 27, Adam Hinojosa now still leading there with 50%, but a big change, big jump there from Morgan Lamantia, the incumbent, at 48%.
Okay, so that's, of course, a big race that we are watching, a big Texas, a rematch here for South Texas that we will continue to closely watch throughout the evening. Another big race that South Texans are watching is that of State Representative District 34. That one, of course, with Republican Denise Villalobos and Democrat Solomon P. Ortiz Jr. And I do believe, okay, as we can see here, Denise so far leading with 57% of the votes over Solomon Ortiz Jr.'s 43%. And one of our crew members who has been watching this race closely throughout the entire night is our Alexis Green. She joins us live tonight with Denise's watch party. Hi there, Alexis.
Hey, Leslie, thanks so much. You know, we changed locations. The scenery looks a little bit different here. We're with Denise Villalobos at her watch party in Calallen at the Seafood Company Brewery, right? You know, just a little bit ago, those early voting results came in, and I'm just going to ask you, what was your first reaction?
I was in shock. When I called my campaign consultant, he actually said, Denise, are you sure they didn't switch up the names? This has been a David versus Goliath race since the very beginning. We've been going up against the Ortiz machine, and then to see the early vote results where we're coming out 5,000 votes ahead, 57% of the vote was amazing, especially considering the turnout on the party that turned out, which we got a ton of just crossover voters in that early ballot.
Absolutely, like you said, the 57 to 43, it was a pretty large gap. Did you expect, even if you were above, did you expect it to be by that much?
No. I was expecting it to be within a couple hundred votes. I was actually anticipating Ortiz to be up by 100, 200 votes in early voting and then us catch him on election day. But this is just surreal. Like I'm at a loss of words. So
absolutely. And you know, the night is still young. We're going to be here at her watch party as more of those votes roll in. But tell us a little bit about who you have here. I've seen some familiar faces. We got Judge Connie Scott in the building, but who is your support system watching this unfold for you tonight?
It is 100% my family. My mom, my sisters, my husband, all of his family, my mother-in-law, and then, yes, Judge Connie Scott. So me and my husband campaigned for her back in 2010 when she flipped the seat from Abel Herrero, and in 2012 again. And so this is just a full circle moment when she won the seat and now me. So I've been with her since the very beginning, and we've maintained our friendship.
Absolutely. So the momentum, you just want to keep this ball rolling for the rest of the night?
Yes, 100%. And so there's a few election day results in, and we're maintaining that percentage. So it's looking good, but yes, it is very early, and we don't want to call it yet, but we're feeling pretty confident.
Thank you so much, Denise. We are not going to go anywhere. We'll check in with you in just a little bit.
All right, Lexus, thank you so much. As you can see, another big party over there for Denise Villalobos' watch party over there in Calallen. And this was one of those other races that we had seen over the past month with some very contentious ads.
Of course, but also she got the help from the governor. The governor making several appearances here
Lots
over
of big
the
endorsements.
last couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Lots of endorsements for both of them on both sides, for sure. So let's check in right now with Dr. Bill Chris and our Michael Aspia standing by to kind of give us a little commentary, their thoughts on this particular race where it's been seesawed. Kind of a big surprise for Villalobos, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, State Representative District 34, and Rudy was asking about, is this a little bit of a surprise in the contest against Solomon Ortiz Jr.?
I would say, well, it's not a surprise to me, Mike.
Yeah.
And it just goes back to what I've been saying all night, which is the Republican Party continues to make inroads into what Democrats have assumed and taken for granted are part of their winning coalition.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the reasons the Republicans continue to do that is because some of the Democrat positions on social and cultural issues, and here I'm not talking about reproductive freedom. I think the Democrats have the majority position on that, but on things like transgender and things of that nature, the Republican Party is making significant inroads into minority voting districts and into traditional Democratic Party bases, number one. Number two, again, I'm going to teach, well, you probably already know this word. I'll teach our viewers a new word, those of you who don't know it, which is shambolic. Shambolic is the adjective that goes with shambles, right? So if you're in a shambles, you're shambolic. The local Democratic Party is shambolic. The Texas Democratic Party is shambolic. I mean, essentially, the Republican Party's in the ring with the Democrats, and they're throwing lefts and rights, and the Democrats have at least one of their hands tied behind their back.
Oh my goodness. I mean, what an assessment to say that. But again, you didn't arrive at this like it happened just yesterday.
No,
though.
this has been going on for decades. This has been going on for decades, and it began really with the Bush family. George H.W. Bush to some extent, but really George W. Bush. George W. Bush and his kitchen cabinet, his sort of brain trust, led by that guy
Karl Rove.
Karl Rove,
Yeah.
thank you. Led by Karl Rove. Very carefully cultivated support in the Rio Grande Valley and San Antonio and in other places where there are significant Hispanic constituencies, and developed a lot of personal loyalty to their brand. And the fact that Trump kind of ran through the Bush family with a machete doesn't seem to have offended a whole lot of Republicans who used to love Bush and now love Trump.
Yeah, well, this is what makes Texas politics so fascinating and why we watch it so closely. All right, Bill, let's go back to Rudy and Leslie.
Thank you guys for that information, insight into this particular district and why the changes have happened over the last decades, several decades. As,
Yeah, that's right.
Chris mentioned.
And that's why it's been such an interesting race to watch. You even heard it in Lexus's live shot as she was talking with Denise Villalobos. Even she was kind of emotional in the sense of very happy, very excited, but also you could hear some surprise in her voice as well as she begins to take the lead in this race over Democrat candidate Solomon P. Ortiz Jr.
Indeed. Of course, we will be going live here in just a couple of minutes that we want to tell you a little bit. We'll be right back with more of the latest numbers coming in throughout the coastal bend. Stick around.
Well, good evening to you, and thank you so much for keeping it here on 3 News on this election night. And thank you to all of you who have also been keeping tuned on our 3 News Plus app, where we have been keeping constant updates of all the local elections and state elections that have been happening in real time, again, on 3 News Plus. One of the races that we have been closely watching this evening is that of State Rep District 34.
Yeah, 34. District 34 was the old Abel Herrero seat, okay? He gave it up, and of course now Denise Villalobos is leading the pack here with 57% of the vote that's coming in right now. We've got Alexis Green standing by live at her election night watch party going on right now. Alexis Green, how's it going out there?
Good evening. It has been an exciting night. It is far from over, but there has already been so much that has taken place, starting with 5 p.m. when we caught up with both of these Republican as well as Democratic candidates at Mary Carroll Old High School, where they were trying to get those last-minute voters who were just getting off work. Fast forward, we went to Solomon Ortiz Jr.'s watch party at the Holiday Inn Marina, and now we've trekked our way over to here to Calallen to the Seafood Brewing Company, where we are at Denise Villalobos, Republican candidates watch party. It is hype. She's got her whole family here. She's got Judge Connie Scott in the building. We just talked to her a few minutes ago, you know, after those early voting results dropped, and she explained to us that she was shocked. She said she had to double check it. She had to talk with her campaign advisor. Is this real? Am I really up this much? And she is, and we're continuing to watch these results. Those are those early voting results as well. But she says she's still on track with the current votes that are coming in. So we're going to be here all night long, catching up with her and just seeing how this goes for her. Be sure to stay with 3 News online and on our app. We'll see you later.
All right, Lexus, thank you so much for that live coverage, again, that you can catch in real time on 3 News Plus. We're also continuing to keep track of several other races that we are watching. We'll go ahead and show you those results that are coming in right now.
Back on our 3 News Plus app, we are keeping a very, very close eye on the race between Ted Cruz and Colin Allred, the U.S. Senate seat up for grabs. Ted Cruz is having a party right now in Houston, and we've got video there that's coming in to us from our sister station in the Houston area. If you could call that up, there it is right there. Ted Cruz has not gotten on stage that we know of just yet, but we're sure that it won't be long before he does. He's keeping an eye on those numbers as they trickle in.
Yep, that's true. So again, this is in Houston. As you can see, a packed house. Supporters wait for Ted to take the stage. So a little bit about this race for U.S. Senate. This is, of course, the incumbent Senator Ted Cruz hoping to seek re-election for a third term. This is a position that he has held since 2013. Several of you may remember back in 2016 when he did throw his hat into the ring for the presidential race. Of course, as we know, losing to the former president Donald Trump, did win a surprisingly close re-election bid back in 2018 against Beto O'Rourke. He's a Harvard grad and met his wife while on the Bush-Cheney campaign. So just some little quick facts on Senator Ted Cruz there.
And he's been a U.S. Senator representing Texas since 2013 when he ran as a Tea Party Republican, if you remember that. So long ago, in 2013.
Yeah.
That's crazy,
quite a
right?
while back, a little over 10 years ago. And just there is the very latest on this race for U.S. Senate. Ted Cruz leading this one, 53% of the votes over Colin Allred's 45%. Again, a race that not just Texas watching, but also much of the nation. And for more on as to why that is, we're going to go back for some insightful analysis with Dr. Bill Chris and Mike Galasvia standing by for us. Hey, guys.
All right, thank you for that, Leslie. And they were, talking about, Bill, that's a big race here in Texas, but a lot of national folks watching that too to see how Ted Cruz does against Colin Allred.
Yeah, well, not very. Cruz did fine,
Yeah.
and Allred's not going to win. And people have been asking me about that for weeks, if not months. And I mean, look, Texas is a red state. I mean, it's been a red state for decades. It's going to continue to be a red state for the foreseeable future, and certainly it's going to remain a red state until at least the state Democratic Party begins to understand why it can't get a majority of the votes in Texas that are cast.
Mm-hmm. And why do you think that is? I mean, you have followed this for so long. You've got to have an idea of what it is that they're going up against that they're just not doing right.
Well, what they're not doing right is what's happened in this country is that the Republican Party has become the party of essentially non-college educated males. Mm-hmm. And the Democratic Party has become the party of urban, college-educated females. And if you're going to make a prediction about a person's voting inclination, right now in the United States, the best indicator of that is education level. Mm-hmm. And so what that means is that the Democratic Party, which has historically been the party of the poor and the working class, the Democratic Party is no longer the party of the working class. And the reason is because the working class has always been morally and culturally conservative. And you see a perfect example of that in the inroads that the Republicans have made in the Hispanic community in Texas and elsewhere. Hispanic voters tend to be more liberal on economic issues and more conservative on social issues. And the Democratic Party is just simply out of step with working class voters in connection with some of these cultural sort of highfalutin type issues.
Yeah, we're looking there live at the Ted Cruz campaign watch party. Who knows when Ted Cruz might show up there, but people have been talking about the fact that Allred has been able to keep this close and was within the margin of error and et cetera, et cetera. You have to remember that Beto O'Rourke did kind of the same thing, didn't he?
Beto actually did better than I think Allred's going to end up doing. And the reason is because the issue they used against O'Rourke was guns. Mm-hmm. And yeah, people are upset and mad if they don't want their guns taken away, but that's not as hot button an issue as every single Republican ad that I saw this election cycle, regardless of race, right? State representative, state senate, president, senator, mm-hmm. Every single one of them was an attack ad based on these cultural issues. They're all, this guy voted to put men in women's locker rooms.
Yeah.
This guy voted to have boys compete in sports against girls. And as long as the Democrats keep handing Republicans that issue, which is a loser for
mm-hmm.
Democrats, Republicans are going to keep hitting them over the head and shoulders with it.
Well, and here's the deal, too, and this is as old as it gets in politics. You can get a message out. How accurate it is or not doesn't matter because now the guy has to defend it, right?
Well, yeah, that's the old LBJ tactic, right?
Yeah.
That's the old Johnson tactic as well. I'll tell you what I want you to do. I want you to go out there and run an ad that says, my opponent did X. And the aides are like, well, Lyndon, we can't do that. He didn't do X. He says, well, I don't care. I just want to see him deny it, right? And that's the whole purpose of negative advertising is that the nuances get lost in the attack, right? And the other thing that's happening here, that's happening nationwide, not just in Texas. The other thing that's happening here is if there's not a war, if there's not some, 9/11, if there's not some major event or issue that pushes people one way or another, what they end up doing is the election just ends up being a referendum on the economy.
Sure.
And as long as people are hurting when they go to the grocery store and they're going, "Dadgum, I can't believe a loaf of bread costs this much," the details get lost. And what happens is, well, Democrats are president now. I'm not happy, so I'm voting Republican.
Economy always a big player.
Well, and you know what?
Races like this.
In 4 years, if people are not happy and Trump wins this time, they'll vote Democrat the next time.
Yeah. All right. Let's go back to Leslie and Rudy there at the desk.
Very good.
All right, guys, yeah.
That's putting it into perspective right there.
Big time.
More years, we'll see.
Big time. So, guys, thank you so much. We'll check back in with you here shortly. We do want to give y'all a live look at some poll workers working hard tonight over at the Nueces County Courthouse. We have a live feed. Check that out. Those are folks right here from our community, hard at work, making sure that your vote and your voice is heard this election season.
That's where the actual counting is happening here in Nueces County at the Nueces County Election Central, which is the Nueces County Election Central and County Clerk. They double up. That's Kara Sand's office, obviously. Her poll workers there working diligently to get those numbers in as soon as they can to us, as fast as they can. They load them up to the Secretary of State's office, and then we get them here. We are able to pass them along to you as well.
I was just about to ask you, Rudy, because I know that in the past that this is a scene that you had reported live
Yeah,
at.
for about 20 years covering the courthouse and covering pretty much every election that we had at the courthouse. It was a different time when we had so many folks that would show up, and basically the party started at the Nueces County Courthouse with all of the candidates showing up. That was Election Central at one point. But now with technology and everything happening now, we're of course able to stream and get all the information out there as fast as possible. Things have changed, but the process still continues, the same way. Diligence and of course dedication by these volunteers, many of them paid, but a lot of them are volunteers that are doing this because they want to.
That's right, and we appreciate them so much. And just for some perspective, because we talked a lot about, especially over the last 2 weeks, folks turning out in droves during early voting. We have those numbers for you. In Nueces County, 96,082 people went in and took advantage of early voting. That made up 43.9% of Nueces County as a whole. So those poll workers certainly have their work cut out for them. We appreciate them so much keeping it here on Nueces County. A big race that we are continuing to watch is that of Nueces County DA.
Jimmy Granberry, 55% of the vote right now. Terry Shamsey coming in at 45. It is a tight race. Numbers very, very close there, but we still have many more votes before the night is over. They've got a long ways to go. And of course, we do have someone. We have our very own
Josh Maxwell. He is joining us live tonight from the watch party there at Vernon's for the incumbent in this race, Jimmy Granberry. So Josh, it's been a minute since we've checked in with you. Tell us, how's it going out there?
Leslie, I'm still here at Vernon's, and there's still a very strong outpour and support for DA Granberry. Now, the last time I spoke with you, his campaign manager, Brandy, was telling me about how his appointment from Governor Greg Abbott did help give him a very substantial way to kind of lean into the community. Now, I do also want to talk to you a little bit about those advantages, again, that Granberry does have in this situation. Now, one key advantage is that Granberry has already been in office for just over a year now. Now, with that experience, he's already very familiar with the DA office and how things work. He's also familiar with the pay scale that the DA's office has to work with. One of the things that he told me is that if he does get elected, he does want to focus more on getting more money into the DA's office. In a past interview, he did tell me that the pay scale for lawyers and attorneys is about 20% below median average compared to other areas like San Patricio County and even outlying areas in bigger cities like Austin, Dallas, and San Antonio. he did mention to me that it does make it a bit difficult to help retain talent, especially with this being kind of a jumping off point for attorneys. He did speak with me in a past interview about how people tend to get their experience and they tend to venture off, and he wants to change that. Now, he does also kind of make up for that by showing his employees how much they're valued, but also another thing he emphasizes is just how vital retaining talent is for the work here in the courthouse. Now, I will keep in touch with you guys throughout the night. He does still have that steady lead over Democratic candidate Terry Shamsi, but of course, you can keep it on 3 News Plus for more updates. But for now, reporting live from Vernon's, Josh Maxwell, 3 News. Now back to you guys on the desk.
All right, Josh, thank you so much for that live report. And Josh talking with such a wealth of knowledge and background, because I know this was a race that he had covered pretty extensively in the weeks leading up to tonight. So Josh, we appreciate that expertise. Of course, Rudy, you know a lot about the Democratic
Terry Shamsi, of
there.
course, former Nueces County judge here between 2003 and 2006. He has a lot of experience. Both men basically worked under the great Carlos Valdez when he was a county attorney, and of course the DA. So Terry Shamsi, again, wanting to try his work and his expertise of 30 years plus, both of them having that extensive experience in basically being a district attorney or a county attorney. So Terry has his own thing going on right now, and we're going to try to get some interviews with him and find out where he stands tonight. But both these folks have a lot of experience, and we will know later on tonight how they turn out as soon as we get more numbers, because it's still too early to say that one will be over the other.
Yeah, so that's a race that we'll continue to closely watch. We are also, of course, closely watching. Actually, we just got word we're going to switch gears. We're going to go live to Houston. That is the site of the watch party for incumbent Senator Ted Cruz. Let's take a listen here.
Pray that Donald Trump will be reelected as President of the United States. I want to say thank you, number one, to my extraordinary wife, Heidi, my best friend in the world. Such an amazing partner on this magic carpet ride of life. And I want to say thank you to our 2 beautiful and amazing girls, Caroline and Catherine. You know, politics at times exacts a price on the family. And I want to say I am so grateful for their love and support, and you guys are amazing. Thank you. I also want to give a special shout out to Alexis Nungary. Alexis, thank you for
that was a live look into the watch party for incumbent Senator Ted Cruz, leading currently still with 54% of the votes over Colin Allred's 44%. Again, a major race. Not only all of Texas is watching, but also much of the nation. But it seems at this hour, this moment, the incumbent is taking this one.
Hearing from our analyst, Dr. Bill Chris, earlier saying that Colin Allred basically didn't have a chance at all in this race. He'd been calling it for months, saying that he would not have an opportunity, not going to be able to unseat Ted Cruz.
So we'll continue to keep an eye on that one, bringing it back home to Corpus Christi, still keeping tabs on that mayoral race where the incumbent Paulette Guajardo still leading this one, 48% of the votes. Michael Hunter coming in second at 34. Isabella Riza still in third with 11% of the votes. We still do have our Bill Churchwell hanging out live at Brewster Street, South Side at the watch party for Mayor Guajardo. So Bill, talk to us about how the atmosphere is going over there.
Yeah, we're still pretty energetic here. You can take a look behind me. We still have this crowd behind us. You can hear the excitement in their voices. And you know what? We're continuing to watch those percentage points go up. We're just over 48% right now. And Mayor, you know, we're talking about priorities for the next council. What do we need to get done in the future?
Residential streets, and we are going to continue to prioritize fixing our residential streets. We're going to continue to work on bringing new jobs. I just announced recently Bass Pro Shop is coming. They've selected Corpus Christi, so we're going to continue to create economic development. So we've got so many things that we're working on that we're going to continue working on, and so we're excited. We want to work for the people. That's the bottom line here, is that we work for the people and we work cohesively and together.
Still got a few precincts to come in with some other votes. We're still waiting to see, you know, how this is going to pan out tonight. And I was looking around, you have a lot of young voters here, or voters, a lot of young supporters here with you. Tell us your name.
My name is Bree Brazelton.
And tell me why you're out here and supporting the mayor.
Because she's a people's mayor and she works for the people and we all love her.
I think we have a future politician right here. But we're going to be out here throughout the night. We'll check back in with Mayor Guajardo coming up later on. Reporting live, I'm Bill Churchwell. Now back to you.
All right, Bill, thank you so much. The energy is still very much hyped over there at Brewster Street Southside. The mayor with a lot of her supporters there. So Bill, thank you so much again for that another live report. Speaking of, we're going to go to another live report of with our Josh Maxwell, who I believe is now joined by incumbent DA for the DA's race, Jimmy Granberry. Hi, Josh.
Hey Leslie, nice to see you again. I'm here with Republican incumbent Jimmy Granberry. And Mr. Granberry, I know we've talked a lot in the past interviews kind of just about your plans for the district attorney's office, especially as it relates to retaining lawyers and attorneys. Kind of just, if you do get elected, what's your plan for that?
Well, we got to make people understand that, you know, you hear the phrase a lot, freedom isn't free. Well, neither is public safety. Public safety isn't free. You've got to pay for good public safety. And part of that is having a professional career track group of prosecutors that come to your community and stay and train the young lawyers that come up behind them so that you have a institutional knowledge of how to prosecute these cases. And my goal is to be able to retain the good lawyers that I have for as long as their careers last, and have them train the young lawyers that follow them long after I'm gone, and keep a career track type of office here, giving Nueces County the professional type of prosecution that they deserve. Because without that, we're a farm team for other counties, other cities, and we will never catch up. We're playing catch up all the time. So we've got to do that.
Right, and also you've talked to me kind of just about having those extra hands can also help process more cases. Another issue, the rise in juvenile crime. So how does having those extra hands kind of help with that issue as well?
You know, I went to San Antonio to meet with ATF and a group of prosecutors from San Antonio area, U.S. Attorney's Office, on this rise that we have with juvenile crime. I mean, there are things that the feds can't touch. If they're juveniles, they can't touch them. And a juvenile in federal court is up to 18. We can prosecute 17-year-olds as adults in the state of Texas. And we will prosecute 17-year-olds in the state of Texas. And one of the things that we're concerned about is switches that can be added to a handgun or a AR and cause it to be a full automatic weapon. You know, it just scares the hell out of me that we have young people that think they're grown but aren't, spraying bullets in a full automatic weapon through the streets of Corpus Christi. We don't need that. We got to get on top of it. We got to get in front of it. And my office is going to step hard on anybody selling switches, regardless of their age, in Nueces County. So we're going to do everything we can to step on violent crime in Nueces County.
All right, thank you so much, DA Granberry. I look forward to speaking with you later in the night. And Rudy Leslie, of course, keep it here on 3 News Plus. But for now, reporting live from Vernon's, Josh Maxwell, 3 News. Back to you guys at the desk.
Now, the interesting point here that we must note is what Jimmy Granberry has echoed what other DAs before him have told me in interviews over the years. And yes, they do need prosecutors that are paid competitively with other counties, not only here in Nueces County, but I mean, we got prosecutors that leave Nueces County to go work in neighboring counties like San Pat and B County, where they get paid more. And we all know that the purse strings are held not by the DA, but by the county commissioners. And ultimately, it's up to them to give pay raises to the prosecutors that work for Nueces County, who prosecute, whose job it is to prosecute young offenders as well. So we shall see. We shall see if Jimmy Granberry will be able to get
lots of behind the
money.
scenes
Sure.
with this particular position, which
Absolutely.
I know very few know more than you because of how long you covered the
It's
course.
crazy, right? But yeah, we know it's a long process.
Exactly.
And we'll see what happens.
Exactly.
If he takes office.
We'll continue to watch that race closely right here live on 3 News Plus. We're going to take a quick break as we go live on the air on 3 News. See you soon.
Election night 2024 as we're covering the Coastal Bend and specifically right now Nueces County. Welcome, I'm Rudy Trevino.
And I'm Leslie Adamy. As you just mentioned, a big race that we are watching within Nueces County is that of District Attorney. We want to take things over live to a watch party for the incumbent in this race. That is Jimmy Granberry. We have our Josh Maxwell standing by live with Granberry. Hi, Josh.
Hey there, Leslie. I'm here with Republican incumbent Jimmy Granberry. And DA Granberry, I know you have extensive law experience, but you also have defense and prosecutor experience. Kind of in this election, how do you feel that that helps you in the courtroom and for election?
Well, I've always said criminal law is criminal law. And if you drew your names out of the hat to see who prosecuted and who defended, good lawyers could do that. But being lawyers, we tend to develop a passion for both sides. I spent 35 years as a defense lawyer, and I spent 5 years as a prosecutor previously, and another year now, and hopefully another 4 years as a prosecutor. But you know, the goal is always to make the community a safer place. Defense lawyers have a little more of a goal to try and protect their individual clients' rights. My job is to protect society, and so that's what we're trying to do, is protect society. And So I think it gives me a big benefit. I've sat down with young lawyers and said, well, have you thought about this and have you thought about that? And they look at me kind of funny, and I said, well, that's what the defense lawyer is going to ask. And it gives them a perspective that perhaps they didn't have before.
So teaching's a big part of your philosophy as DA.
Mentoring has been a huge part. It's the reason I took this job. I had the greatest mentors in the world. Douglas Tinker, Carl Lewis, Dennis Torr, Robert Blackman, Hayden Head Jr., Janice Graham Jack. I had lawyers and judges that taught me the tools of the trade, sometimes in a way I would have preferred not to have had to learn it. But I learned it nonetheless, and appreciate and value everything that they taught me. And it occurred to me when I got appointed that I had the opportunity to spread that out and share it with young lawyers that maybe hadn't had the benefit of good mentors. And so mentorship is something that's huge for me personally, and I think it makes better prosecutors.
All right, and of course, keep it right here on 3 News Plus. Keep checking in with me over the night, but for now, reporting live from Vernon's, Josh Maxwell, 3 News. Rudy, Leslie, back to you guys.
Admirable that he talks about being a mentor, and that is absolutely true here in Corpus Christi, Nueces County, of course. Many of the attorneys getting their start fresh out of law school, maybe going in and continuing their studies as prosecutors here in Nueces County. But Terry Shamsey, again, no stranger to this because he's been involved. He was involved with Nueces County Attorney's Office. He's, of course, been a county judge. He's been a district judge as well, or county court at law judge as well, county court at law number 5. So it's interesting. Still too early to call, 55 to 45.
A very familiar name as well.
For sure.
Alrighty, guys, we're going to go back to 3 News Plus for all of our live time election coverage. We'll see you there.
San Patricio County, lots of races throughout the Coastal Bend tonight.
That's right, and we have them all online for you at our website as well, KIITV.com. And one of the big races that we have continued to talk about throughout the night, since it was very contentious, a very big rematch, that being for State Senate District 27 between Republican candidate Adam Hinojosa and Democratic incumbent Senator Morgan Lamantia.
We've got Brandon Sheff out on the island right now, where he's got, I understand, Adam Hinojosa with him to talk to us about his, I guess, his race tonight, how well he's doing, something that may not be a surprise to a lot of folks, but certainly is to some who were expecting the tide to turn for Senator Lamantia, the incumbent. Brandon, what can you tell us about this race?
Yeah, good evening, guys. Live from Hard Knocks here at Padre Island. The race for Texas State Senate is very much so on, and we're here with the Republican candidate for that position for District 27 and Adam Hinojosa. Adam, this has been a busy day for you. You have been traveling all around the area that you would be representing. Tell me about how that's been going so far, how the turnout's been.
Well, the turnout's been incredible. The reception is even better. We've gone from the northern part of the district all the way down to the Rio Grande Valley in the south, came all the way back up to the north, and then back here to Corpus Christi. And we're just ready. We're receiving the returns, and we're excited. We're right in the race.
Absolutely. You know, you and I had talked a couple years ago about how you were also trying to get this. Now you're running and you're seeing the results. You're seeing people coming out to the polls today, and you're liking what you're seeing so far. This is a close race.
It's a very close race, but you know what? We've done so much work, especially in the Rio Grande Valley. Our people are coming out here in Nueces County, my hometown, and so we're excited about that. We've done, like I said, just an incredible amount of work in the Rio Grande Valley. We're still waiting for those returns, but we're super excited. We're right in it, and it looks like we could very well turn this out.
Absolutely, and to be able to come out here to Padre Island tonight after such a busy day, why was it important for you to be able to close out election night here on Padre Island?
Well, it's very simple. My family, my beautiful wife, my children, our friends that are all around us. We wanted to make sure that we ended the night here at home so that we could celebrate with everybody.
Absolutely. Obviously, you can see how excited the crowd is here at Hard Knocks. And Adam, I'll wrap everything up with this, just really quick. What are you hoping, if you do wind up winning, to bring to this position?
Well, I want to bring the representation we deserve. It'll be the first time in a long time Corpus Christi has had a state senator who lives right here. But we have so many big issues, the border security, we have economic issues. Well, I want to get to work right away and start working on all those important issues for our South Texas constituents.
Thank you, sir. Good luck tonight. Thank you very much. All right, we're going to send it back to you guys in the studio. Reporting live from Padre Island, Brandon Schaff, 3 News.
All right, Brandon, thank you so much. You just saw the slate just moments ago. This one's still a very tight race.
Very tight, yes, indeed. We're talking about something that the Valley is keeping a very close eye on, as we are here in the Coastal Bend, because it does cover a wide swath of this one area that, as Adam mentioned, we haven't had someone to represent this area in quite some time. And as you see the numbers there, 50% over 48,
Yeah.
but still too early to call. We
Right.
still got many numbers down from the Valley, still need to be counted.
Adam Hinojosa, the Corpus Christi native, taking this one so far. Again, that it's not done just yet, but with 50% of the votes over Morgan Lamantia's 48% of the votes. So we'll check in with Brandon. We'll keep tabs on this race as well. We're going to bring it back here to Corpus Christi, look at some of the at-large candidates. And let's see some of the results for those that are coming in this evening. Right now we have Carolyn Vaughn leading that one with 17%, followed by Mark Scott and then Roland Barrera.
Those are the top three right there, with Jim Klein coming in at 12% right there of the vote so far. And again, this is a large swath here. We got Larry Elizondo with 10%, Rachel Caballero at 10%, Jennifer Garcia at 8%, and Sylvia Tryon at 5%.
10 candidates,
Yeah, 10.
for at large. We want to go back, if we can, really quick to the first slate that showed the 3 candidates that are leading this one in at large. That being Carolyn Vaughn, Mark Scott, Roland Barrera. These are 3 Coastal Bend politicians. Definitely no strangers to the political scene here in this area. They have Carolyn Vaughn, we've seen in the city capacity, also county. Mark Scott is a former city council member. Roland Barrera is actually the incumbent for District 3, obviously not running for that race, coming in 3rd right now for the at-large position.
Let's get the take now from Dr. Bill Chris and Mike Gillespie standing by to tell us about what they think of these particular.
All right, thank you for that.
Here,
Appreciate it, guys. We haven't had a chance to talk much about some of the city council races, but this at-large council race has fascinated me from the beginning. You've got 10 people running. This is one of those where you don't have to get above 50%. You just have to be basically in the top 3. And there's only one incumbent running.
Yeah.
How is this all shaking out for you?
Well, and the one incumbent is getting defeated.
Yes.
Is what's really strange about it. Well, there's a couple of conclusions we can draw from this. I mean, first of all, it looks like Carolyn Vaughn and Mark Scott are going to make it as number 1 and number 2 at large people. Either Roland Barrera or Jim Klein will be the 3rd because they're both above 12%. Right now, Barrera is edging Klein out so that Klein will no longer be on the city council. His cohort, Sylvia Campos, is winning in her district, and Isabel Araiza, although she's running 3rd in the mayor's race, has gotten enough votes to throw that race into a runoff, it looks like. One thing we can say from looking at the at-large city council race and the at-large school board race is that with all of the muscle that the Republican Party is flexing locally and statewide, the endorsement of the Republican Party for the first time of candidates in these nonpartisan city council and school board elections has not yielded any fruit. The only person in either of those races that was endorsed by the Republican Party and is winning is Carolyn Vaughn. And she probably would have won anyway because she was on the city council for a long time has a lot of name ID.
All right, we've got just a few seconds here, but if we get a chance to pull up the school board, because I don't know that you and I have had a chance to look at that tonight, but some of the familiar names there when you were checking on your phone a moment ago were leading where you thought they might be?
Yeah, pretty much. The number one ballot position is Steve Barrera is winning.
Yeah.
And then third place is Don Clark, and second place is Alice Upshaw Hawkins. And she's an incumbent.
And yet we take a look here at the ISD, Corpus Christi ISD school bond. This thing is going down big time.
Going down hard, and I think that's because of that parentheses $135 million price tag next to it. People very seldom vote for all of the bonds because at some point, as they're flipping through them, voting yes, 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 they go, wait a minute, maybe we can't afford this next one. So that's just the way voters behave.
And here are some of the names you were looking at and mentioning earlier. They're running for school board.
Yeah, Penny Kaminsky was the candidate that was endorsed by the American Federation of Teachers in that single-member district race, District 2, and she is behind right now. In the at-large races, Steve Barrera, who's a former teacher and football coach, not necessarily football coach, but coach, and Alice Upshaw Hawkins, who's a teacher, and Del Mar veteran. They're winning, and then the third spot's being taken by Don Clark, whose father was on the school board.
Yeah, and there you are. You get a chance to look at some of the numbers as we have talked about some of those races. Let's go back to the desk now. Rudy and Leslie, take it from here.
All right, very good. Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Dr. Bill Chris. Very good.
It's just another reminder of how jam-packed election night can be. We're not just, of course, talking about the big presidential race. A lot of people locked into that as well. But our state races, what we're seeing for the South Texas region, and then locally, and even for school bonds.
Absolutely, and so many races to talk about. No, we're getting the numbers, and as soon as we get the numbers, we're going to pass them all along to you as well. We've got district court judges as well that we want to address. There's so many different races. We've got the DA's office. We've got outlying races as well that we want to share with you. And as soon as we get those numbers here, we're going to pass them along to you. We've got some more numbers. This is a Michael McCauley. This is the 28th District Court Judge. Again, no numbers yet. We're still waiting on the county clerk's office, Kara Sands. As soon as she gets those numbers, they pass them on to the Secretary of State's office, and then they're passed on to us. As soon as we get those numbers, we will, of course, pass them on to you. That's what's happening right now. They're still counting, and they can't exactly pass along their totals to the Secretary of State's office, who then sends them out to the rest of the country.
Yeah, this isn't exactly also a process that you want to just speed up willy-nilly, because as we've said, this voting is your opportunity to make your voice count. There's a lot of hardworking hands that go into making sure that that happens here in Nueces County, in San Patricio, Brooks, all of the counties here in the Coastal Bend region. It's a long night, and mostly volunteers.
And just the sheer number, the number of folks who turned out to vote, mail-in ballots, and all of that has to be counted. It does take time. This is definitely going to go down in the history books for sure.
Alrighty, and one of the other races that we are going to turn to now is going to be of U.S. House District 27. Let's go ahead and take a look at the numbers if we can for this one. If we can pull that up. Okay,
this is the District 27, of course. There it is, Michael Cloud, Tanya Lloyd. Michael Cloud, a clear winner there. We don't want to call that, we can't, because there's so many numbers still missing. But he is, of course, at the top with 64%. The Republican that basically took over from Blake Farenthold.
I'm thinking back in 2016, 2018.
Going back that far.
Yeah, so it's a seat that he's hoping to take back again, and as you can see, doing that as of right now with 64% of the votes. Our Michael Gibson had the opportunity to chat with him ahead of tonight. Let's go ahead and listen into that interview.
And thank you for joining us. We've got Representative Michael Cloud. Congressman, it looks like you're going to be reelected. It's still probably too early to call, but you are well ahead. What's your plans on the rest of the evening. You continue to watch this, or are you pretty sure?
Well, thank you. Yes, of course, we're cautiously optimistic. You never take the people for granted, obviously. And, first of all, just want to say thank you. And it's an honor to continue to serve this district. As we look forward, the work continues. I always remind my folks I work up with in DC that election day's the starting line, it's not the finish line. And so, I'll be headed back up to DC tomorrow to make sure that we get to work right away and looking at what needs to be done over the next few months and certainly the first 100 days of a new term. We're still watching election results because obviously that'll depend or that'll change what we can or cannot do over the next few months, but it'll certainly affect it. But we're watching that closely right now, and but it's certainly an honor to serve the people of Texas.
Do you think everybody in Congress can hopefully get along and get legislation moving along? You notice everyone in the country is hoping for unity and everyone to get on the same page. Do you think that's possible?
I sure hope so. You look at the numbers, and it was something like 70% of the country said we needed to head a different direction. So, here in South Texas, of course, we know our borders have affected our communities. We had another person in our district died just this last week when they were hit by a drunk driver who had already been removed from our country for that same crime. And so, we've got to secure our border. It's affecting the institutions in our communities. We've got to get our economy working for the American people again. They always say they get their economic report not from a White House briefing, not from some report that's coming from, they get it when they go to the grocery store. So we got to get that working again. And again, Corpus Christi is right at the tip of the spear of a lot of that because so much of that is connected to our energy policy. And so these are things we have been working on, but hopefully we'll be able to continue to work on that as we head into this new term, even with a little more wind at our backs, I would hope.
Thank you very much. That's Representative Michael Cloud, District 27. He was facing Tanya Lloyd, the Democrat, and it looks like Mr. Cloud will return for another term. And thank you for joining us this evening, and we'll continue to watch those results.
Sure thing. God bless you.
All right, Michael, thank you so much for another awesome interview. Again, he was talking with the Republican incumbent in that race for House District 27, Michael Cloud, looking like he's still leading that one over Democrat candidate Tanya Lloyd, who is a first grade teacher. Her slogan, Congress needs a first grade teacher.
Yeah, that's what she campaigned on, and who is one of the folks from up in the district where the district was basically cut. Mm-hmm. And she's up from the Seguin area, up in that area that is part of the 27th Congressional District. Very interesting. It
just goes to show just how vast these areas are, because that's a little part of Central Texas that kind of goes into the Victoria Cuero area, I think Edna as well, and then comes to Beeville, I believe, or at least dips into Corpus Christi a little bit. A very large area.
The Victoria area, and it's just part of the redistricting, gerrymandering that's been done to basically cut out these areas at this point that Dr. Chris said benefits a lot of the Republican leadership there.
Yeah, and Michael Cloud, this was a position he took in 2018, so looking like he could do that again as well. And we thank Michael so much for all of those, or Michael Gibson that is, for all of those awesome interviews throughout the night, for that extra insight. We are so appreciative of Dr. Chris and Michael Aspia for their analysis, and we had our field crews out as well.
Absolutely, we've got them all over the place tonight, but of course we're going to take a break here from the desk. We're going to prop up some numbers there for you. We're going to put them up on our full screen, and we're going to update them for our 10 o'clock newscast.
That's right, we'll see you there.